whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who at best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat.
This afternoon, the Red Sox entered the arena for the first time in 2002. Welcome to opening day. And Fox 25 Sports is proud to welcome you back to opening day 2002 at Fenway Park. 102nd home opener for the Boston Red Sox. And Jerry, a rousing ceremony on the field to welcome in this new baseball season.
Very nicely done by everybody, and what a thrill to see the Patriots come out and do a little dance around the pitcher's mound, have the trophy with them, and all the Red Sox players certainly enjoyed that. And nice hustle to you, Sean, to get back up here. Terrific job with the opening ceremonies.
Oh, it was a lot of fun to be down there. The atmosphere in the ballpark is electric, and people were into it from the start. Pedro Martinez obviously received an enormous ovation. Fans hoping that he will be healthy throughout this season. Buck Martinez and the Toronto Blue Jays in town to begin the Grady Little era as manager of the Red Sox. And you can imagine how long he has thought about this day. 15 years as a minor league manager, many more as a major league coach, and finally a major league team is his to run as a field boss, and the Red Sox are John Henry's to run from the owner's box, which will be very close to the dugout in those new seats, the much publicized dugout seats. 2 additional rows on each side of the field between the dugout and the screen. And those folks are close to the action. They'll need to be on their toes today.
And the weather has certainly cooperated. It rained and drizzled here this morning, but just about 12:30 the sun came out for the first time, and that drew a loud ovation from the capacity crowd here at Fenway Park. And talking about Grady Little, Sean, I was speaking with him this morning, and he's as relaxed today as he's always been. Obviously, getting his chance to manage in the big leagues, very special for him, but not a guy that's going to get flustered by very much.
Not a lot of highs and lows. One of the messages that he has been preaching to his team in the days leading up to the season, the importance of maintaining an even keel, and if there is failure, to bounce back from it quickly. Pedro Martinez ready to go in a very businesslike fashion, striding out to the mound to throw the first pitch in earnest of this 2002 season. As always on opening day, Fenway Park jammed to capacity. A great excuse for folks throughout New England to call in sick to work or skip school. And more than 33,000 lucky fans into expanded Fenway Park. About 500 seats added in all since the end of last season. The Toronto Blue Jays opened the season with the Red Sox. Their lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. The Blue Jays were 80 and 82, third place finishers in the AL East last year. Shannon Stewart is the leadoff hitter in DH. Newcomer rookie third baseman Eric Hinsky bats second. Raul Mondesi is the right fielder batting third. I feel like I already read these lineups. The cleanup hitter is first baseman Carlos Delgado. Had his usual big season last year with 39 homers, 102 runs batted in. Jose Cruz Jr. is the left fielder. Darren Fletcher catching and batting sixth. Vernon Wells is the center fielder. Homer Bush at second base batting eighth. And a 21-year-old shortstop Felipe Lopez batting ninth. They're going to a youth movement in Toronto. And that youthful bunch will go up against Pedro Martinez.
18 starts a year ago across the shoulder problems, well documented. A 7-3 record, 2.39 ERA. And Sean, watching him in spring training, my feeling was the best outing he had was his very last against Cincinnati. 4 innings in that game, 6 hit, no runs. He got out of a couple of jams with key strikeouts. And of course, all of Red Sox Nation is going to be watching very closely today for Pedro's health, because obviously Pedro Martinez, the key to the 2002 Red Sox.
And the defense behind Pedro this afternoon for Boston. In left field, it's Manny Ramirez, the center fielder Johnny Damon. And in right, Trot Nixon. Shea Hillenbrand is the third baseman. Nomar Garcia Parra at shortstop. The new second baseman Ray Sanchez, also a newcomer Tony Clark at first base, and Jason Varitek is behind the plate. Joe Brinkman, the home plate umpire, with Darrell Cousins at first, Marty Foster at second, and Andy Fletcher has the plays at third. Johnny Damon checking out the now bright skies here at Fenway Park. Still plenty of clouds in the area, but bright sunshine. And Tony Clark making his Red Sox debut today as well. Two of the key acquisitions made by the Red Sox in the final days of the Dan Duquette era.
In all players today, we look at Ray Sanchez, the new second baseman for the Red Sox. All players today nervous. I don't care whether they say, you know, they slept nice and they're very comfortable. The fact is, on opening day, all players are nervous, probably more so than any time during the year, with the exception if they get into postseason play.
I don't know about you, partner. This is the 15th year for us as broadcasters, and I kept waking up in the middle of the night and looking at the alarm clock, ready to wake up and get here and ready to go.
Just didn't want to miss the game. I slept very well last night.
Here's Shannon Stewart ready to get the season started. Stewart, Hensky, and Mondesi in the first against Pedro Martinez. Earliest calendar date ever for a Red Sox home opener on April 1st, 2002. The first pitch of the season is a high fastball. .53 degrees at game time. First pitch of the season at 126, and a foul ball. Backed by the screen, 1-1 on Stewart.
First two fastballs from Pedro. The first one clocked at 89, the last one 90 miles an hour.
Fifth straight opening day start for Pedro Martinez as a member of the Red Sox, his first at Fenway. First time since '95 the Red Sox have opened the season at home. Pedro's been brilliant in the 4 prior opening day starts, a 3-0 record and an ERA of 1. Trying to begin the season with a strikeout. And the breaking ball is a check swing. Stewart almost went after it. Stewart not happy about being the DH. He wants to play in the outfield.
Late shift by Buck Martinez. They said he was promised to play left field the last winter, but Buck has him as the DH.
Fastball, another check swing, appeal down to first. No swing, said Darrell Cousins. And Pedro's gone to a full count with the first batter of the season.
And of course, Sean, today Pedro is supposed to be kept between 75 and 85 pitches in this first outing.
The payoff pitch up and in, ball 4. So Pedro got ahead of Stewart 1 and 2 and then lost him.
One thing to watch now early in this ball game, teams that can run, and certainly Toronto is a club that can run. Shannon Stewart, 27 steals a year ago. They're going to test Jason Varitek early in the season. They're all well aware of him coming off surgery, and teams that can run, players that can run, they're going to be testing Varitek.
Stewart held by Clark. The batter is Eric Hensky. He pulls one down the right field line, hooking toward the stands, just foul and not far from the pesky pole. Hensky's a rookie. He came over in December from the Oakland A's along with a right-handed pitcher Justin Miller in the trade that sent Billy Koch to the Athletics. He had a very good spring last year in AAA in Oakland's organization, hit 25 homers. J.P. Ricciardi, Massachusetts native, is the new general manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. He came over from the Oakland organization. He assisted Billy Beane. He knows a lot about Hensky. Hensky and Lopez, a very young left side of the Toronto infield. 0-2 the count.
That's the changeup from Pedro, first one he's featured today. A lot of changes on the Toronto club, but still the core of their team intact.
A noticeable departure, Alex Gonzalez, who'd been a staple at shortstop for many years. Moved on by a trade to the Cubs. Change up just outside.
I think one of the reasons Hinske up this high in the batting order for a rookie, the fact that he's had the ability in his minor league career to take a lot of pitches.
He walked 79 times at Sacramento last year, had an on-base percentage of .373. Led the Blue Jays club in walks this spring with 10. Hops it up, shallow left center. Manny Ramirez makes the running catch. That's the first out of the season. Shannon Stewart back to first.
Pedro did not face Toronto all of last season.
Batting third.
In his career, he is 5-2 with an ERA of just over 2.5 against the Blue Jay ball clubs.
Here's Raul Mondesi, was bothered by a sore right shoulder for most of spring training. Had just 1 homer and 8 runs batted in. Last season, hit .252, 27 homers and 84 runs batted in. He also stole 30 bases and walked 73 times, a career high. Out of play to the right.
I think what you're going to see today, Sean, and even though they know Pedro is on a pitch count, we're going to see a lot of these Blue Jays swinging at that first fastball. They scouted Pedro heavy down in spring training, and their feeling was the best chance is that first fastball that he throws for a strike.
Mondesi in the hole, 0-2. Carlos Delgado on deck. The K-men are ready out in the bleachers in right center field to post their first K of the season. Instead, Mondesi slaps it to right. Nixon not far to go, just a few steps back for the out. 2 down. Stewart still at first base. We're on the top of the first. Opening day 2002 just underway at Fenway Park.
Batting fourth, number 25, the first baseman, Carlos Delgado.
Carlos Delgado, a team high 39 homers and 102 runs batted in as he played in all 162 games last year for the Blue Jays. Hit .279.
And the Red Sox put the big shift on Delgado. 3 infielders on the right side. Only Shea Hillenbrand at shortstop to protect the left side.
And it's fisted foul back off the 600 club. Delgado battled a stiff neck for much of the spring. He had no home runs and only 1 RBI in the spring. Last season, his 4th season in a row of 35 or more home runs. He also walks a lot. He's hit by the pitch. Pedro tried to run the fastball inside and hit Delgado on the leg. So a walk in, a hit batsman here in the first inning. 2 men on with 2 outs for Toronto. Hit Delgado on the leg. So a walk in, a hit batsman here in the first inning. 2 men on with 2 outs for Toronto.
One thing Pedro worried about opening the season, whether his command was going to be there with his pitches. That time he tried to go down and in with the fastball. Instead, he gets Delgado right off the.
Cruz Jr.
Almost in his interviews yesterday, Sean, Pedro really didn't know what to expect today.
Hear the concern in his voice when he talks. Jose Cruz Jr. swung and missed at the breaking ball. There's another Blue Jay who battled injuries in the spring. He played in just 10 games after a irritated left oblique muscle. The Red Sox want to keep him off the bases. Last year against Boston, Cruz stole 12 bases without being caught.
He had 32 total on the season.
Already 17 pitches for Pedro, 10 of them strikes. That's well hit to left. Ramirez watches it go over his head, off the wall on a hop. Stewart around to score. On to third, Delgado. It's a double for Cruz and a 1-0 Toronto lead.
Well, we mentioned location. That appeared to be the changeup from Pedro, but you'll see that it's going to be up in the zone. And a perfect pitch for Cruz to take the other way. There's the changeup. Usually that's down and away. It's away, but above the belt. And a line shot up over the head of Manny Ramirez, who plays a very shallow left field here at Fenway Park.
So 1 run in and 2 more in scoring position. And all of the noise and hoopla that accompanied the ceremonies before the game has been quieted by the Blue Jays scoring in the first against Pedro. Fans concerned all winter and spring about Martinez, and those fears not put to rest by what we've seen here in the first inning.
No, that last fastball that he threw by Fletcher, 89 miles an hour.
Fletcher had a poor year by his standards with the bat, by just about any standards last year when he had 226. He was dealing with a strained back much of last year. Fletcher, the 6th batter at the top of the first. And there's another well hit ball in left center, and Ramirez can't get it, nor can Damon. It'll be played by Damon on the warning track. 2-run score as Delgado and Cruz cross the plate on a double for Darren Fletcher. It's 3-0 Toronto.
The last 2 hits both have been on changeups. Now when Pedro's changeup is good, it's like a screwball working down and away, but again you'll see that it stays up in the zone. It's a very good hitting here by Fletcher. Both Cruz and Fletcher taking that off-speed pitch to the opposite field. Well, it's not the fastball they've hit here in the first inning. It's the changeup, and it's basically because of the location of it. They have been up in the zone.
In his 18 starts last season, he allowed a total of 3 first-inning runs. He's allowed 3 in his first inning of the season today.
Batting 7.
Tony Cloninger, the pitching coach, on his way back to the dugout.
The center fielder,
Pedro gets ready for the 7th batter of the inning. Vernon Wells at the plate. Fastball high. Wells divided his time between AAA Syracuse, where he played in 106 games last year, and the Blue Jays. He appeared in 30 games for the big league club over 2 stints. He had a very good spring with 352 down in Grapefruit League play, with 20 runs batted in and 4 home runs to cement the starting center field job on opening day for Toronto.
Well, Sean, this is very similar to the Pedro we watched all spring training. And it was not the dominating Pedro that we're accustomed to seeing.
You mentioned his comments, Jerry. You could just tell by what he was saying. It wasn't the Pedro of old with the great self-assuredness.
Exactly.
Who knew he was going to go out there and get the opposing hitters out. Two balls and a strike on Wells. On the right side, it should end the inning. Sanchez to Clark. But the Blue Jays get 3 runs on 2 hits, a walk, and a hit batsman. And after a half inning, it's 3-0 Toronto on the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. What makes Toyota the best value? Ask someone who drives one. By Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. By your friendly New England Dodge dealers. Grab life by the horns. Go Dodge. By the 99, you'll always come back for more. By your New England Ford dealers. For the best selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs on the planet, visit your local New England Ford dealers or log on to newenglandford.com. And by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. A rough top of the first for Pedro Martinez. It was not encouraging for the Red Sox and their fans. as the Blue Jays got to him for 3 runs. Here's Johnny Damon in his first Red Sox regular season at bat. He hit .256 in his only year with Oakland last season. Chris Carpenter's first pitch is ball 1.
Carpenter making his first opening day start for the Toronto Blue Jays. Finished last season at 11-11. And when he's on, he features a very good curveball.
Chris, a New Hampshire native, dozens of friends and relatives in attendance here today. Two balls and a strike on Damon. Ball 3. With this designation as the opening day starter, an indication that the Blue Jays expect this might be the year that Chris will put it all together. I don't think there's any question, as you said, Jerry, when he's on, he's very tough. He has a lot of ability, he just hasn't really been able to do it consistently yet as a major league pitcher.
Yeah, led the Blue Jays last year in innings pitched, strikeouts, complete games, shutouts, and quality starts.
Damon chops it on the left side. Hinsky, the third baseman, across to Delgado. 1 out. Let's give you the rest of the Red Sox lineup. Jose Offerman will be the DH today. Batting third, the shortstop Nomar Garcia-Parra. He hit .382 this spring. Carlos Baerga had the only batting average higher among the Red Sox. Manny Ramirez in left, Tony Clark at first, Trot Nixon in right, Hillenbrand, Veritek, and Sanchez the bottom third. Jose Offerman hits one high in the air and deep to right, up into the breeze. That ball's going to carry out of here into the bleachers beyond the bullpen. A lot of controversy when it was announced that Offerman would be in the starting lineup on opening day. He heard some boos during the introductions. And then on the first pitch he sees this season, he takes Chris Carpenter way out of here over the bullpen.
Offerman has always had success against Carpenter. .375 coming into the game. He takes that first fastball, and of course that breeze slightly blowing out in that direction today. Offerman with the first home run of the season for the Red Sox.
So it's 3-1 Toronto. And now Nomar, first ball swinging, sends it up the middle, cut off by Felipe Lopez, and a strong throw on the run to get Garcia-Parra.
Batting fourth, number 24, the left fielder.
2 outs. Here's Manny Ramirez. Homered in the first inning of the home opener last year in his first swing at Fenway as a member of the Red Sox. A 3-run homer. The first of his 41. Season that got off to a great start a year ago and then tailed off. And he looked at ball 1. Downward movement of that delivery from Carpenter. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Looks like Chris turned that fastball over just a bit and ran down and in on Ramirez.
Another sinker. 1-2. Manny hit .408 last April. He was the American League Player of the Month. Hit 9 homers and set a Red Sox record with 31 runs batted in April. Laid off the breaking ball. It was low and away. 2-2 with 2 outs and the bases empty. 1 run in on the Offerman homer. The Blue Jays lead 3-1 here in the first.
One thing, the way this offense has improved for the Red Sox this season, 3 runs early in the game is not going to intimidate them.
Carpenter missed the target by a healthy margin and missed high. A full count with Tony Clark on deck. 2-out walk. The first walk given up by Carpenter.
Batting fifth.
Well, you're really
Number
seeing both
22.
pitchers struggle a bit here
The
early in the
first
ball
baseman,
game. Sometimes you wonder on opening day how much
Tony
nerves are involved with that.
Tony Clark, the hitter. Right down the middle, strike one. Clark in 126 games with the Tigers at 16 homers, 75 runs batted in. His power numbers dropped off the last couple of years when they moved into spacious Comerica Park. He was a consistent 30 home run plus hitter at Tiger Stadium. Didn't like the call on that close pitch. 0-2.
Other thing too is Tony's battled some injuries over the last couple of seasons. A wrist injury a year ago, along with some back problems.
Played most of the year with the wrist injury. Finally decided to shut it down late in the year.
Well, Sean, I'd have to say for April 1st, we are very fortunate in the weather today.
It rained hard overnight, cloudy all morning, and when his game time approached, the sun came out. Red Sox fans everywhere hoping that that is an omen. Jobber foul. Well, the park looks great. They put the red clay back on the infield.
I was down on the field yesterday for a short period of time and really is in very good shape.
For all the talk about those new dugout seats,
they're okay.
Yeah, they don't jump out at you as an addition. I mean, if you hadn't been to Fenway in recent years and looked down there, you probably wouldn't even notice the difference.
Yep.
Ripped to first and caught by Delgado. Red Sox settle for 1 run in the first on the Hoffman home run after one. 3-1 Toronto.
Run the risk of me getting hurt in just 1 inning, because once you pass 30 pitches, you're forcing yourself. You're already wore out for 1 inning. So they're going to try to be careful with it. And if I struggle and I don't seem like I'm going to bounce back really quick, they're going to take me out. And those are things that I'm aware. They talk to me beforehand, and I'm going to have to accept those things and, you know, just take it as a good advice for my career.
Not really the kind of talk we're accustomed to hearing from Pedro. Clearly concerned at this juncture of his career about his health and his future. His first pitch of the second, the ball to Homer Bush, the number 8 hitter. The Blue Jays sent 7 men to the plate in the first. Scored 3 times. Fastball swung on and missed. Bush, then the number 9 hitter Lopez, and top of the order Shannon Stewart. Homer had an injury-plagued 2001 season, limited him to 78 games. Swing and a miss.
Had a thumb injury a year ago that cost him a lot of time. Hamstring problems.
He had surgery on that thumb. Second year in a row he's played in fewer than 80 games, so they'd like him to stay healthy this year. 1-2 pitch. Little lob down the right field line. Fair ball by a foot or two. Nixon over to play it. Throw to second, not in time. Bush caught a break. The ball lodged underneath that advertising sign down there. So that's 3 doubles now for the Blue Jays. That one a bloop hit by Bush after Martinez jumped ahead of him.
Yeah, very protective swing there with 2 strikes. Actually a very good job of hitting by Homer Bush. Hands inside the baseball, just trying to stay away from the strikeout, and drops it right down the right field line for the double.
3 hits for Toronto, all of them doubles, and here's Felipe Lopez. Drops it down. Martinez dropped the ball after looking Bush back to second and can't make a play. Bush read that it was a hard bunt and decided to stay at second. And Pedro looked toward third. The ball slipped out of his grasp, and Lopez is safe. And Bush is still standing at second base.
Big break here for the Blue Jays. Should have been one out here on the sacrifice attempt. That's very good base running by Homer Bush. He knew the ball was had a chance to throw him out at third base, but then Pedro bobbled it, so they get the bonus, first and second, and nobody out.
It's an error on Martinez, his first since 1999. Two men on and nobody out, and Shannon Stewart takes a knee-high changeup for a strike. He walked to lead off the game and scored their first run last inning. He had a good year against the Red Sox last year, hit .329 and walked 6 times. Trying to dump that in shallow center, and he does. Bush had to hold up to see if Damon could catch it, so it'll load the bases.
Well, you can really sense it here at Fenway, how quiet everything has got in these first 2 innings with Pedro on the mound.
Well, so many people believe, Jerry, and understandably so, that a lot of the success or failure of the Red Sox this year will be determined by Pedro's health and performance.
The third baseman.
And this performance does not give Red Sox fans reason to be encouraged.
4 hits in the game, 2 of them on changeups, the last 2 on fastballs. Red Sox early in the game playing the infield back with the bases loaded, trying to get a couple of quick outs with the double play and try to cut off the jam as far as a big inning goes.
Eric Hensky, the rookie, takes a strike in the outside corner. He fly to left in the first inning. Hensky, 24 years old. This is his major league debut. Another changeup outside. Hensky 6'2", 225 pounds. He's from Wisconsin. And went on to the University of Arkansas. Fastball looked pretty good. And good velocity, 94.
Now, Joe Brinkman has missed a couple behind the plate. That last one on Pedro. There were a couple of pitches by Carpenter in the first inning that would not call strikes that looked very close.
The 2-1 pitch swatted down the right field line. It's drifting back into fair territory. Looked like it would hook foul, and then it went the other way. 2-run score. They really haven't hit a ball hard in this inning, but they have 3 hits in the Martinez error. It's 5-1 Toronto.
Now that's a pretty good fastball by Pedro. It's up and in, and somehow Hensky's able to get the base hit. I believe he broke the bat on this. But still, you mentioned, Sean, it looked like it was going to go foul territory. Then it just stayed fair, and a couple more runs here early for the Blue Jays. So that intimidation factor that Toronto may have had at the beginning of this game has certainly been taken away. And they're going to get some action quickly out in that Red Sox bullpen. Looks like it might be Darren Oliver who is starting to loosen up.
It is Oliver, the veteran lefty. Tony Cloninger at the mound for the second time in as many innings. Well, not all of them have been shots, but the numbers tell the tale. They have 5 hits in 1 inning plus.
Number 43, the right
Pedro
fielder,
up to 36 pitches. Already about halfway to what they thought his pitch limit was going to be today. 2 runs in, runners at first and third. And Raul Mondesi, the batter. I think if Raul had it to do over again, he might have swung at that pitch. Breaking ball taken for strike 1. He flied to right in the first inning. Infield back at double play depth. 1-1 now on Mondesi. Outfield more or less straight away behind Pedro. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mondesi with 7 consecutive seasons now of 20 or more homers. 5 times in the last 7 seasons he's hit 20 homers and stolen 20 bases, including last year.
His name was bounced around in a lot of trade talks in the offseason.
Fastball up and in. Fisted up the middle. Garciaparra and Sanchez came together, but neither could make the play. Stewart scores. Hinske to second, an infield hit from Mondesi and a run batted in. It's 6-1.
See, there's a good example, Sean, in my opinion, and it's what I watched all spring training. The high fastball from Pedro, when he's throwing 96, 97, they don't make contact on that pitch. This one was 93, and Mondesi able to make the contact up the middle. The collision here between Nomar and Sanchez, a base hit and another run.
Delgado.
Here's the location of the pitch from Pedro. Now this is up in the zone, and that's one that generally hitters do not catch up to when Pedro has his best fastball.
Another little looper and another base hit from Carlos Delgado. Hinske coming around to score. The throw goes to second. 7-1 Blue Jays. Delgado with his first RBI of the season.
Grady Little having Veritek go out to talk to him and waste a little bit more time as Oliver gets ready. That may be the afternoon for Pedro. I'll tell you, these guys, now how often do you see this where the opposing teams are really running to the plate to get a chance to at bat against a guy that has dominated them over the years?
Jerry, can Red Sox fans take any consolation from the fact that at least in this inning they've virtually all been bloop hits and bleeders, but the fact of the matter is they're all hits too.
Yeah, and even when Pedro's at 100% and throwing his game, they don't get a lot of those bleeders. They don't make contact on a lot of those pitches.
Junior.
Four straight hits, 5 hits in the inning and the Martinez error. 7 hits in all for the Blue Jays and 7 runs. And here's Jose Cruz Jr. who doubled to knock in a run, and he scored in the first. Drove in their first run with a 2-out double.
One of the first times we've seen a swing and miss at the fastball. That was a cut fastball from Pedro.
7 runs, 7 hits for Toronto. 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 error for Boston. Another pitch that was very close, but called the ball. 1-1. Check swing and a tapper foul by the Toronto on deck circle. Strike 3, borderline pitch on the outside corner. There's the first strikeout for Pedro Martinez, and really another indication, Jerry, that there's something wrong. How often do you see Pedro go 14 batters before he gets a strikeout?
Yeah, fastball. He finally gets a call from Brinkman on the outside corner. He talks a lot about command of his pitches, and that certainly has not been here today. That particular pitch, yes, picks up the outside corner with the fastball for the strikeout.
1 out. Aaron Fletcher, who drove in 2 runs in the first, is the batter. He doubled into the gap in left center. He takes strike 1. Fletcher's been a good hitter in his career at Fenway. .333 average coming in. Pulls that very high and well foul.
Sean, I've been making the point throughout the spring that, you know, people say, well, Pedro can still win without his best stuff, and they look back to the Cleveland game in the playoffs a couple of years ago. But I can tell you as a hitter, when you lose one weapon, when you go from 96, 97 on your fastball to 90, 91, where he's been, say, that's a huge difference for a hitter, and that's almost a pitch you don't have to worry about anymore.
And maybe Pedro did it that night in Cleveland on adrenaline and
Absolutely.
guts and the magnitude of the moment. Throws that one by Fletcher, so back-to-back strikeouts now. Coming at a time when clearly Martinez is one more hit away from being removed from the game.
And in the last two at-bats, the good control back for Pedro. Both fastballs on the outside part of the plate. Velocity not much different, but better location.
Toronto sent 7 men to the plate in the first. Here's the 9th batter of the second. They batted around Vernon Wells. Ended the first by grounding out to the second baseman Sanchez. He looked at strike one. Fastball up and in. Now the play to the right, into the roof boxes, and dropped into the seats down below.
Now the first bad play of the season up in the roof boxes.
And I believe they've added seats up in there in the back.
Oh yeah, they have. I see that. Yeah.
Bar stool type seats in the roof boxes. Yeah, see up in the back they have their own little countertop there. Those are new seats as well. He struck him out. Right when it looked like Pedro was on the verge of coming out of the game, he strikes out 3 Blue Jays in a row. But the Blue Jays had 5 hits in the inning, and they scored 4 runs after an inning and a half. 7-1 Toronto. 25. The entire staff is wondering who is behind the school's biggest April Fool's joke on Boston Public. Then at 9, when you're an American girl working in London, you don't have to look for love and adventure. They find you. An all-new episode of The American Embassy. Watch tonight starting at 8 on Fox 25.
Number 7, the right fielder.
A rough first inning and an even worse second inning for Pedro Martinez, although he did finish it with 3 straight strikeouts. After an inning and a half on opening day, 7-1 Toronto. And Trod Nixon will lead off against Chris Carpenter.
Those 2 shows coming on tonight, Sean, Boston Public and that new one, American, they look terrific shows. I love Boston Public.
It's a terrific show. And that's no April Fool's joke. Trod Nixon coming off the career highs and homers and runs batted in last year. With 27 and 88. He also had a career best in runs scored with 100. He had 393 against right-handed pitchers, the 10th best average against right-handed pitchers in the American League. And he homered in the season opener at Baltimore last year.
Good change up there by Carpenter. Carpenter usually fastball, curveball, change up, third best pitch, but he's thrown a couple in this game, and that last one, good one to Nixon.
Fastball just inside. Two and two. Well hit ball, center field. Vernon Wells looking up. That ball is gone. For the second straight year, Trod Nixon has homered in the season opener. And the Blue Jays now lead 7-2.
Both home runs, 2 have been crushed. The one by Offren up over the bullpen, and now Trot Nixon in the bleachers in center field. Little tailing fastball, but it stayed out over the plate. And Nixon will lose it in the center field bleachers. So the Red Sox attack today so far, the long ball.
Shea Hillenbrand looks at a strike. And perhaps trots on his way to surpassing his single season best, 27 home runs last year. That's certainly a good start. Homering in his first at bat. The ball just low. Hillenbrand beginning his second major league season. Last year he made the jump from Double-A to the Red Sox to begin the season. Opened the year at third base and wound up hitting .263. Pops it up very high, shallow center. Wells. One out.
In the last two seasons, Carpenter has given up quite a few home runs. A 30 in the year 2000, 29 a year ago.
Number 33.
And already now 2 in the 2002 season. And it's still early in the ball game.
Jason Varitek. Watched his season end last June 7th when he fractured his right elbow, making a diving catch for pop-up and foul ground in the on-deck circle. Wound up having surgery on that elbow on June 12th. There's a well-hit ball to right. That ball's going out of here. Home run, another one into the bleachers. Red Sox have 3 hits off Chris Carpenter, all of them solo homers, and it's 7-3.
Well, what a nice return for Jason Varitek. He's been very anxious for opening day. The surgery a year ago on his elbow. Anxious to get back at Fenway Park. In his first at bat, he'll get a changeup for the home run. So the Red Sox offense, solo home runs. It's the way to peck away at the lead, right?
Yeah, the Blue Jays have done it with some bloops and bleeders and a couple of well-hit balls mixed in, but no homers. Red Sox have 3 hits, all of them home runs. Here's Ray Sanchez in his Red Sox debut, signed by the Red Sox as a free agent in late February. Played for Kansas City and Atlanta last year. Quickly behind in the count, 2 strikes.
Those first 2 new rows now, we had a little bobble down there and ended up back on the field.
Strike 3, borderline breaking ball on the outside corner. The first strikeout of the day for Chris Carpenter. 2 down here in the second inning.
You mentioned, Sean, that's the best pitch for Carpenter, that over-the-top curveball, 12-6 curveball, and he needs that to be effective.
The center fielder.
And that might have been a gift right there, because that ball appeared to be down and off the outside part of the plate.
Joe Brinkman hasn't gotten any better in the offseason.
Yeah, that didn't take long.
Well, you got on him first. I just thought I'd wait till at least the bottom of the second to chime in. Johnny Damon took a strike and a ball. Johnny bounced out to the third baseman Hinsky in the first inning. All the way to the backstop on a pitch down and in. 2-1. Pitchers allowed to blow on their hands on the mound today on this relatively cool afternoon, although for April 1st, I think we all have to be quite satisfied with the conditions. Carpenter stuck out his bare hand, and fortunately for him, it didn't strike it. Damon has his first Red Sox hit. That's the first Red Sox hit that has not left the ballpark.
I think Carpenter may be happy he did not knock that down with his bare hand. A lot of pitchers get injured that way.
Number 30, the designated hitter, Jose Offerman.
Right back through the middle on the ground ball. You see the hand go out and then quickly pull it back. Down by 4 now early in the game. Should not stop Damon from stealing if Grady Little gives him the green light to go ahead and do it. I guess Red Sox players are not on their own as far as the green light goes for stealing. But we will see more of it this year than we have in the past.
Offerman took a ball high. He homered on the first pitch he saw in the first. Both starting pitchers have struggled. Toronto leads 7-3 in the second inning, and now Delgado's going to go in and chat with Carpenter. Carpenter spent his entire professional career in the Blue Jays organization, was a first-round pick in June of 1993. 15th player taken overall out of New Hampshire. Born in Exeter, New Hampshire, lives in Bedford, New Hampshire. Graduate of Trinity High School in Manchester. He was All-State for 3 years in both baseball and hockey.
That's one tall hockey player.
Yeah, Chris is 6'6". 2-1 pitch fouled out of play. 2-2. Now to play. Were you surprised by Grady Little's decision to make Offerman the opening day DH? You mentioned the good numbers against Carpenter and the fact that Offerman has been a fast starter in previous years.
Yeah, a little bit, Sean. You know, we expected probably Daubach to DH against the right-handers early in the season, but late in the spring, Grady named Offerman. He liked him at the top of the lineup behind Johnny Damon.
Check swing. Blue Jays want strike 3, and it is strike 3. Said the third base umpire Andy Fletcher. That gets Carpenter out of the inning, but the Red Sox hit 2 more homers. Solo shots by Nixon and Veritek. You're watching the Fox 25 Red Sox television network.
For tickets, call 617-482-4SOX or log on to redsox.com.
Pedro Martinez ready to go to work in the third inning. Blue Jays got 3 runs in the first, 4 more in the second. First 6 men reached last inning, and then Pedro struck out 3 in a row. Homer Bush began the second inning with a fluke double down the right field line and scored their first of the 4 runs. Swing and a miss at the changeup for strike 1. Bush, then Felipe Lopez and Shannon Stewart.
Now we'll see, Sean, if he can carry the momentum of those final 3 batters here into the third inning.
Chopper foul. 0-2. Pedro has walked 1 and hit a batter. He struck out 3. He's given up 7 hits. Still a long way to go in this one. Fastball 94 outside.
Fastballs have been a little bit better, especially at the end of the second inning. That one at 94 miles an hour.
Outfield shallow for Bush and around toward right. Breaking ball missed. 2-2. Shadow starting to creep out from behind the plate. Unusual breeze for this time of the year. The wind blowing out toward right. Usually in April, when you get those cold days with the wind off the water, the breeze comes straight in from right. Brass cutter gobbled up by Nomar. Nice play. 1 out. First time today that Pedro's retired the first batter of the inning.
Nomar had an excellent spring training. No sign at all of any difficulty with that wrist. And once we watch him range up the middle and that sidearm flip that he makes to first base, right on target to a very tall target over at first base this year in Tony Clark. Get away with a few high throws at first base this season with Clark over there.
Ball 1 called on Felipe Lopez. He reached on the Pedro Martinez error. and scored last inning. Six of the 7 runs against Pedro have been earned runs. Close, but a ball. 2 balls and a strike. Lopez, born in Puerto Rico, lives in Florida, went to high school in Florida. Just 21 years old. There's a well-hit ball toward the triangle. And it'll carry him all the way out near the 420 mark. Damon plays it back into Sanchez, but it's an easy triple for Felipe Lopez.
Well, again, Sean, we talk about location of pitches, and that has really been key for Pedro in this game. He goes to the changeup again, and as I mentioned earlier, when that changeup is on, it's down and away, almost like a screwball of lefties. Watch this one. Stays right out over the plate. You can see Veritek set up on the outside corner. That ball stayed inside, and that becomes a very hittable pitch. All the way down in the triangle, and Lopez on third base with the 1-out triple. Red Sox now pull the infield in.
8 hits for Toronto. Top of the order, Shannon Stewart for the 3rd time in 3 innings. He walked and scored in the first, singled and scored in the second. Up and in. I guess the question now, Jerry, becomes, would you have a quick hook here with Pedro? Do you let him try to pitch his way through this and find some rhythm to take toward his next start, or do you save some wear and tear?
No, I think they're going to let him go to that pitch limit that they set prior to the ball game, 75 to 85 pitches.
That one hits Stewart up around the numbers.
Well, maybe a way for Pedro to send a message that you guys have some pretty good swings against me. We don't want you to get that comfortable. And Shannon Stewart takes one right off the back.
Second batter hit by Pedro.
Number 11.
Right off the 2 on the 24 of the back of Shannon Stewart. Red Sox now in the middle infield will drop back for the double play with the 1 out.
Eric Hinske, the batter. Strike 1. Hinske is fly to the left and single to right. He knocked in a run with his first major league base hit. Last inning. Scored his first major league run. One ball to 1 strike.
Oliver up for the 2nd time in this ball game.
Changeup missed.
Well, good count here for Stewart at first base to run on. I've been waiting for somebody to take off, and it has not happened yet.
Fly ball to center. Damon a long way to go to make the catch on the warning track. Another ball that got a push from the breeze. On to score Lopez in the second. Stewart.
Well, that really did. When that ball left the bat, Sean, I thought maybe we'd have a chance at the plate, but that just continued to carry almost to the warning track. And I might add some very good base running also by Stewart at first base. He knows as deep as Damon's going to go. He goes back to tag up, and he gets himself in a scoring position at second base. That ball really got a push.
The 4th time that Pedro's given up 7 earned runs in an outing. Last time was in '99, a game against the Marlins, and right after that Pedro wound up on the disabled list. It was an indication that all was not well. I guess the other question is, never mind the notion of letting him pitch through this or saving wear and tear, with an eye toward winning the ball game as well. He clearly doesn't have it. I think if this was anybody else, he'd be out of the ball game, having allowed 8 runs, 7 earned in the 3rd inning.
No question. If this is number 4 or 5 starter, they've been gone probably last inning.
One to Mondesi, a good changeup. Mondesi has fly to right and had an infield hit. Toronto. They're out hitting the Red Sox 8-4. Swing and a miss. Another good changeup. 4 strikeouts for Pedro in 3 innings, but 8 runs on the board for Toronto. You're watching the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. Andy meets the girl of his dreams, but when he finds out she has a drawback, will he stop dating her? Catch an all-new Andy Richter Controls the Universe. That's tomorrow night, starting at 8 on Fox 25. Usually Pedro is the master of his universe, but not today. 8 runs on 8 hits, 7 of the runs earned. The unearned run is a result of an error by Pedro.
Looks like, too, it may be one more inning for Pedro. Oliver, who was throwing, has now put his coat back on, sat back in that bullpen.
Already 72 pitches for Martinez in 3 innings.
Not the eye of the tiger right there.
No. And Omar Garcia-Parra will lead off against Chris Carpenter. The Red Sox with 3 solo homers stay within striking distance of Toronto, but the Blue Jays have scored in every inning, as have the Red Sox. Garcia-Parra laid off the first pitch this time in the 1st inning. He swung at the first one and grounded to short. Ramirez and Clark to follow.
I would expect, Sean, early in the season, I would think that Nomar is going to see a lot of fastballs up and in to see how he responds after that wrist injury.
Well hit to center. Wells retreating. That ball is off the top of the wall. Nomar just missed the Red Sox 4th solo homer in 3 innings. It's a leadoff double.
Well, he tried to go up and in with the fastball, left it out over the plate. Garcia-Parra gets on top of it and just missed a home run.
The left fielder.
That's the pitch there in spring training when he made contact that he felt the best about, because that's the one that would give you the most problems with the wrist coming off surgery. Missed the 4th home run by just a couple of inches.
5 hits now for Boston. Manny Ramirez, the batter. He drew a walk with 2 outs in the 1st. The only walk given up by Carpenter. Ball 1 up and in. A lot of talk in the offseason about the comfort level in the Red Sox clubhouse. How about the changes made down there? Red Sox clubhouse much more spacious, if only because they've eliminated a lot of the clutter that used to be in the middle of the room. I'm not sure they moved any walls around the actual clubhouse, but it definitely has a much roomier feel.
Yeah, they've added also a players lounge where they can go eat after the game, relax a little bit. Yeah, they've made some nice improvements. You're right, they took out a number of things that makes it look bigger anyway.
Yes. The 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and a strike.
And they put the couches back in that were wiped out by manager Joe Kerrigan. I noticed that yesterday, that there are some nice comfortable couches back with plenty of TVs in there, and those are all things that Joe had removed the first day he was on the job, which didn't go over very big.
The 2-1 pitch, not close. Ball 3. 3 balls and a strike. Tony Clark on deck. This is a meat of the order Red Sox fans been looking forward to watching all winter. Garcia-Parra Ramirez and Clark. The 3-1 pitch, ball 4. Carpenter hasn't been much more sharp than Pedro Martinez.
No, this can't be making Buck Martinez very happy. I mean, they've got to Pedro to put up some runs, and their ace, Chris Carpenter, having a tough time holding down the Red Sox offense.
Mark Connor, the pitching coach, on his way to the mound. 50 pitches for New Hampshire native Chris Carpenter.
Has to be a trying time for Buck Martinez. New general manager in place. Second year on the bench after coming out of the broadcast booth.
He says he feels much more comfortable this time around, has a much better idea of all the job entails, how to prepare.
How great that haircut though for him.
That's what I said before the game. Managing that tough. Once he got on television, he didn't worry so much about the color of his hair. Scott Ayer in the bullpen. And I reminded him before the game, Jerry, hair of any color is good. Be happy to have hair of any color. But there is a lot of speculation that Buck Martinez's job might not be very secure with a new general manager who might want his own manager eventually. One strike on Clark. He grounded to the first baseman Delgado to win the first. Nobody out. Red Sox with a chance to make it a tight game again with one swing. Another one that seemed to slip out of the hand of Carpenter. Even though it's not very cold here today, 53 degrees at game time, these pitchers are used to pitching in the 85-degree weather of Florida. A little more difficult to grip the ball on a day like today. Well hit ball, center field, way back. That ball is gone. A 3-run homer for Tony Clark. The umpire's late in signaling that. That's why you hear the delayed roar from the crowd now. Took a moment for them to give the indication. That ball clearly hit the camera platform out there above the center field wall. So Tony Clark homers in his first game as a member of the Red Sox. A 3-run shot, and they are indeed right back in it with one swing. It's 8-6 on a wild opening day at Fenway.
Yeah, Carpenter tried to turn the fastball over. Clark, of course, can really extend the arms, very tall, and right off the camera position out in center field. As I mentioned earlier, Sean, falling behind in games for this Red Sox club is not going to intimidate them. They feel they have enough offense to be in every game.
4 homers for the Red Sox.
This is not exactly the type of game you expect when you have your 2 aces on the mound.
Ron Nixon slams one into Canvas Alley, where the ground crew resides. Solo homers by Offerman, Nixon, Veritek, and now a 3-run homer by Clark. All the Red Sox runs have been driven in on homers. Breaking ball to Nixon. He homered to center field last inning as the leadoff hitter.
That's a pitch that hasn't been there for Carpenter today. That curveball has not thrown very many of them. And the Red Sox are teeing off on the fastball.
Change up for a strike. And again, it raises the question, Jerry, would you send Pedro back out there even though he's clearly been ineffective? They scored in every inning. When you battled back to get right back into the game again.
Yeah, I think he's going back, and I would send him back. I'd make sure he got his pitch limit in. I think he's been better the last 2 innings.
Nixon strikes out. The third of the day for Chris Carpenter. The first out here in the home half of the third.
One thing you have to remember, he is still on somewhat of a rehab program, building up pitches that started in spring training. As we mentioned, up today to the 75 to 85, and I think it's critical he gets those in to try to build the arm strength. You see that happen every so often. The guy will come off with the Saberless for another club, and even though he's getting bombed in the ball game, they feel they're going to get benefits down the line by leaving him in to get his work, then taking him out, and it's almost like starting all over again.
Jay Hillenbrand up there with a count of 1-1. Pedro continues to maintain there isn't anything physically wrong with him. He's not having pain or twinges. I think we've seen in the past, if that had been the case, Pedro would say so.
Well, today is a good example of what he was talking about yesterday. His command control hasn't been what we normally expect from Pedro. And he's been there in mini spurts. But
how much of that do you think could be adjusting to the 10 or 12 pounds of muscle that he added to try to guard against injuries?
He's mentioned that himself during the spring, that it's been a little bit uncomfortable for him to get used to that. But it's also something that was necessary for him to build the arm strength back up. And it's something he's going to have to do the remainder of his career. One thing too, Sean, I noticed he left the bullpen real early today when the opening ceremonies were going. Matter of fact, you were introducing him and he was already on his way in, and there was quite a bit of ceremony left after that.
Hillenbrand walks. That'll get the tying run to the plate. And here comes Buck Martinez. He has the lead against Pedro Martinez. And he wants to do everything he can to keep the lead. So he's going to come out with a hook for his starter, Chris Carpenter, after just 2 1/3 innings. And Scott Air will be the new pitcher. We're in the 3rd inning on opening day, 2002. Toronto 8 and Boston 6. Offense rolling today on opening day at Fenway Park. Not yet through the 3rd inning and already 14 runs on the board. 8 for Toronto. Chris Carpenter threw 64 pitches in his start, 37 strikes. He's out after 2 1/3 innings, with the tying run coming to the plate against reliever Scott Air. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Nextel Direct Connect. Get right through. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9.
17 games a year ago with Toronto, a record of 1-2. All those games out of the bullpen. He spent most of the year down at Syracuse, where he worked in 62 games. And of course, we remember him a few years back with the Chicago White Sox.
Tony Clark with the big hit of the ball game for the Red Sox. A 3-run homer here in the 3rd. Turned an 8-3 deficit into an 8-6 score. Here's Jason Varitek, who homered in his first at bat since last June in a regular season game. That was from the left against Carpenter and went to right field. Now he's batting from the right side against Scott Air. 1 strike on Varitek. Hillenbrand walked. He's at first. Just outside, 1-1. Now to play to the right. Pedro's been in the dugout now for 16 minutes since he finished his work in the top of the 3rd. Ball 2, 2-2. Ayer's 29 years old, born in Los Angeles, went to high school in Utah, junior college in Idaho, and now lives in Bradenton, Florida. Line to the left, a base hit. Varitek got a hanger and did not miss it. That puts the tying run at first. It brings the go-ahead run to the plate.
Well, Varitek now with a chance to hit from both sides of the plate tonight. The home run from the left side. Now the base hit from the right side. Red Sox got some switch hitters in the lineup. Varitek, Tony Clark, Jose Offerman. Just a hanging breaking ball there about knee high, and Varitek with a hard line drive base hit. Didn't expect this on opening day.
No. Not at all. Ray Sanchez struck out looking in the second. With 3 strikeouts for the starter Carpenter. A ball high. Sanchez played in 100 games for Kansas City, then went on to Atlanta and played in 49 more. 149 games played, a career high for the 34-year-old Sanchez. Another ball, this one low, 2-0.
Quite a turnover in that bullpen for Buck Martinez. Paul Quantrill no longer with the Blue Jays. Billy Koch, who was their closer, no longer with them. Escobar taking over the closer role.
In the dirt. He's 1 ball away from walking the number 9 man and loading up the bases, putting the tying run into scoring position and the go-ahead run on base. They traded their 2 best bullpen guys.
Yep.
Koch and Quantrill. Quantrill was an all-star last year. They believe Escobar can be the closer. Ball 4, not close. So the bases are loaded. The tying run at second, the go-ahead run at first. And Mark Connor, the pitching coach, goes back to the mound. Johnny Damon will be the hitter, and he'll be up for the 3rd time in 3 innings. The Blue Jays leadoff man, Shannon Stewart, hit 3 times in the first 3 innings.
Now you've got to figure as a Toronto Blue Jay, if they told you a week ago you're going to put 8 runs against Pedro, you figure you're going to win that game. And it's very much in doubt now, and it's only the 3rd inning.
One can only speculate what the final score of this one's going to be if it keeps going like this.
Or whether it'll still be April when it's finished.
We get some room to work with here on April 1st.
The center fielder, Johnny Damon.
Johnny Damon to tie it or put the Red Sox ahead with 1 swing. He grounded to 3rd in the first inning, single to center in the second. His first Red Sox hit. Close for the ball. 5 in a row out of the strike zone from Ayer. Popped up. Here's the pitch about shoulder high and popped it up in foul ground. Hinsky has it. A big second out of the inning for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Now Damon last year actually hit higher against left-handed pitching than right-handers. Had a pretty good pitch to hit there. It was a hanger. Little breaking ball that stays up in the zone, and Damon gets underneath it for the pop-up and frustration with the bases loaded. There's not much foul territory, but there's certainly enough for that pop-up.
Jose Offerman, switch hitter, batting from the right, takes a strike. Off-speed pitch from Ayer. Jose homered in the first pitch he saw from Carpenter in the first inning, and struck out to end the second. 8-6 Blue Jays in the 3rd, but the bases are loaded for Boston. Way outside. Chop to second. Bush steps on the bag to end the inning. Red Sox get 3 on the homer by Clark. They leave the bases loaded. They've stranded 5. You're watching the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. Continue to pursue perfection next time out because they have been far from perfect today. A rough outing for both Chris Carpenter and Pedro Martinez. Pedro still out there, undoubtedly for his last inning. Darren Oliver warming up again. Tony Clark's 3-run homer has tightened this one up considerably. And each team has scored in every inning. Pedro throws one right down the middle. You have to ask Joe Brinkman where that one missed, because we can only guess. Up and in. Delgado hit by a pitch. He scored in the first inning, single to drive in a run in the second inning. Delgado, Cruz, and Fletcher, the middle third of their order, coming up. It's been nearly 25 minutes since Pedro left the mound. Red Sox were at bat for a long time with the pitching change as they batted around in the bottom of the third. One pitch. Good changeup. That seems to have been his best pitch today. Did hang a few early, but in spring training too, more often than not, it looked like his best pitch was a changeup.
Yeah, the problem he's had a couple of times today, leaving it up in the zone, is really not the case there.
He's back to the fastball at 93 and fouled away.
Fastball's been better, Sean, the last couple of innings.
You wonder if it's taking him a while to get loose, or you almost wonder if he's guarding against re-injuring himself. He's sort of building on the effort level as he goes along once he's convinced he can let it go. There's a base hit into right center. So Delgado's on. They have the lead man on for the third time in 4 innings. They have 9 hits now.
And once again, it's on the changeup. That's 2 hits today for Delgado on that pitch. Drove in a run back in the second. Not too bad there. That's just a pretty good piece of hitting by Delgado. Pedro knew he threw a pretty good pitch, and it got hit.
Jose Cruz Jr. had an RBI double and a run scored in the first. He was called out on strikes in the second. Delgado held by Clark at first. Ball 2 wasn't close.
See there too, Pedro trying to turn the fastball over, trying to get a ground ball. 81 pitches, so he's very close to that limit, and that's why Oliver continues to throw in the bullpen. Cut fastball. Pedro, for the first time in this game, looks annoyed on the mound.
He's going to take a little stroll behind the mound now. With Fletcher up next, Jerry, if this hitter gets on.
This is it, I'm sure.
Yep.
I think even if there's an out.
Three and one. Darren Fletcher, left-handed hitting catcher on deck. Even Cruz couldn't believe that was a ball. He stood there thinking it was going to be a strike. Grady Little's on his way now with the hook for Pedro Martinez. It's the second walk issued by Pedro. He hit a batter, struck out 4, gave up 8 runs, 7 earned, and 9 hits. Hit 2 batters. Darren Oliver on his way in to make his Red Sox debut, and we'll return to Fenway Park in just a moment.
8-6 as we are in the top of the 4th inning. A couple of base runners on for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the new Red Sox pitcher will be Darren Oliver. Oliver scheduled to be the number 5 starter in the rotation to start the season with John Burkett on the disabled list. 11-11 a year ago, the 6.02 ERA. Of course, Oliver coming over in the trade for Carl Everett. Had a very good spring for the Red Sox.
He takes over for Pedro Martinez, who pitched 3 innings plus 2 batters in the 4th. Pedro so far responsible for 8 runs, 7 earned, tying a career high for earned runs allowed
Number 9
in one outing.
The catcher, Darren Fletcher.
9 hits, no homers given up by Pedro. The Red Sox have hit 4. Martinez walked 2, struck out 4, hit 2 batters through 84 pitches, 51 strikes. Let's pause now for station identification. This is the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. Sean McDonough, Jerry Remy, our producer Russ Ken, director John Wilson, associate producer Dave Corris, Brian Reed assisting us here in the booth. Delighted to have you with us on opening day 2002 at Fenway Park. Fletcher turns to bunt, a good bunt. Oliver will go to first, to Clark for the out. It's a sacrifice. Delgado to third and Cruz to second.
Not a bad idea. It's early in the game. There have been a lot of runs scored in this ball game, but you got the lefty against lefty, and Buck Martinez puts on the sacrifice. Get a couple of men in scoring position. 10, now back to the right-handed hitters.
Center fielder, Vernon Wells.
It's gone to the jacket. It has gotten noticeably cooler here in the last few minutes as the sun has ducked back in behind the clouds. And now we have a fan running on the field. And apparently wants to meet Nomar. Vernon Wells will have to wait. And this fan will have to wait when somebody comes to bail him out. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. In addition, the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Boston Red Sox. Fouled off his foot by Wells. 0 for 2. He is grounded to second to end the first inning. He struck out to end the second.
It's a guy, Sean, that the Blue Jays think is going to be a very, very good player. Heard a lot about him for the last couple of seasons. Finally gets a start.
He's the only Blue Jay in the lineup without a hit. No one else can claim a hit off Pedro Martinez in the season opener. So we've been hearing about Wells for a while. He's been regarded as one of their top prospects. They've had a crowded outfield situation last few years with Cruz and Shannon Stewart and Mondesi all ahead of Wells. Tough for him to break in. Got some action last year while Cruz was injured. The 0-2 from Oliver. Grounder foul.
And Wells really the only guy happy in the outfield because he got a chance to start in center. That moved Cruz to left field, where he was much more comfortable playing center field. And of course Stewart goes to the DH position, which apparently is not sitting very well. But things change quickly as the season goes on.
Another 0-2 from Darren Oliver. And a foul ball back by the screen. Veritek makes a terrific catch. Well, if you watched the game or you were here last June 7th, that had to have you holding your breath a little bit. It was reminiscent of the pop-up on which Veritek made the diving catch and fractured his right elbow in the on-deck circle, not very high in the air. But Jason this time managed to make a terrific catch without slamming his arm into the ground.
Yeah, instead of going into the dive, he'll slide as he gets close to the stands to make a good catch. Now, there are going to be some problems, I think, early for the catchers because you have the new seats that jet out, so they're going to have to get used to that little area behind home plate.
Just a couple more nooks and crannies added to the ballpark here.
Right.
Foul ball off to the right from Homer Bush. I guess that's one of the reasons you don't even really notice those new seats, because there's nothing about it that indicates new construction or something that was added on. They really did a terrific job of making it look like.
I like it.
Yeah.
And actually, there are some other areas they could probably do it.
We were told John Henry was going to sit out there for most of the day. That was his plan, but really since the very beginning of the game, we have not seen him down in those seats right next to the dugout.
I'm sure he's busy today on opening day with a lot of people in the ballpark, shaking hands.
Chopper foul, so Oliver is 1 strike away now from getting out of this jam created by Martinez.
And Sean, you could even put a couple more rows down that third base side.
Yeah, you could do the same thing. It looks like you could anyway beyond the dugouts. You have to find a place for the tarp on the right field side.
Right down here, maybe another couple of rows there. We'll do some work on that. See what we can come up with.
You going out there with a shovel after the game?
I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Luckily, they have Janet Marie Smith.
Right. She doesn't need any help.
No, she doesn't need any help. She was part of the brain power behind Camden Yards and working with the Red Sox to find ways to improve Fenway Park, add on to it in many ways. There are about a dozen new concession stands here, while still trying to open up some spaces and make it comfortable. Swing and a miss. Oliver gets Bush, and the Blue Jays strand 2. On to the bottom of the 4th, 8-6 Toronto. Indians, the first complete game opening day shutout in the major league since Dwight Gooden did it for the Mets against Colorado in 1993, and the first for the Indians in 34 years. And Sonny Siebert in 1968. Darren Oliver, a positive first impression for his new fans. He got the Blue Jays to strand 2. First inning in which they have not scored. Red Sox have scored in every inning, trying to keep that string alive against reliever Scott Air. Nomar takes a strike over the outside part of the plate. Garcia-Parra has grounded a short. He doubled leading off the 3rd and scored on the Tony Clark 3-run homer. Red Sox batted around last inning, got just 3 runs on the Clark homer as they left the bases loaded. Chopped down the line, foul. Your new third base coach, Mike Cubbage.
Mike Cubbage last year with the Houston Astros, and actually for a short period of time was the interim manager for the Red Sox when they let Kerrigan go during spring training.
He was a candidate when they interviewed for the managing job. I think he earned some respect throughout the organization with the job that he did under those circumstances in spring training. Tommy Harper again the coach at first. Check swing. It's a strike.
It was amazing to me, Sean, in spring training. They call that a strike.
Yeah, they did. Nomar refuses to believe it, and now he heads back.
Take one more look at it.
Number 24
on the breaking ball, and clearly the head of the bat out in front of home plate. At least from that angle, it looked like to be a swing. Going back to spring training, how not affected it seemed the players were. All that was going on, the general manager change, then the manager change, interim managers, and then finally Grady Little being. They just kind of rolled along with it, did their job, prepared for the season.
Manny Ramirez has walked twice. He scored in the Clark homer last inning. Took ball 1 down and in. Scott Ayers pitched 1 inning in relief of Chris Carpenter. Turned it over and missed away. 2-0.
And he always ends up as one of the top hitters in the league against left-handed pitching. He's done that throughout his whole career.
Not close. He's a ball away from walking for the 3rd time. Well, hopefully with Clark batting behind him, he'll get more protection in the lineup. Certainly there wasn't consistent production behind Manny in the batting order last year. 3-0 pitch. Outside, ball 4 again. Manny wasn't quite sure it was ball 4.
Well, you don't see many guys, and it's happened about 3 times today, where guys expect it to be all a strike, and it's not.
Well, Joe Brinkman has to wait for the coin to land before determining if it was heads or tails. A 1-out base runner and the tying run at the plate. Tony Clark hit a 3-run homer last inning. Bring the Red Sox from 8-3 down to the current score 8-6. Grounded out in the first. 5 straight balls thrown by Air. Fastball strike, 1-1. Despite the injuries last year, Clark was an all-star. He was Detroit's representative out in Seattle. Still waived by Detroit in November. Close again, but a ball.
Wow.
The pitching hasn't been great, but Joe Brinkman certainly hasn't helped them either.
No, they have not had much help.
Center, another hit for Clark. He's 2 for 3 in his Red Sox debut. Again, the Red Sox have the tying run aboard and the go-ahead run coming to the plate. Second hit given up by Air. He's also walked 2 in 1 inning of relief for Buck Martinez.
This will be an interesting call here, whether they go to the sacrifice. Nixon last year did have problems with left-handers. Of course, they won't do that with 1 out.
In the dirt. Good dig by Fletcher. Didn't seem certain that he had it.
But in sacrifice situations, in this type of ball game, that might happen. Fletcher, good defensive catcher, has that ball carrying back off his chest protector and then into the webbing of the glove.
Nixon homered, leading off the second inning and struck out in the third. Ball 2. You would think Air would come right after Nixon with another right-handed hitter, Hillenbrand, on deck. 8-6 Toronto. 2 men on and 1 out here in the 4th. And he wasn't close with that one either. Air's been nibbling throughout this outing. Say he's been erring on the side of caution. The 3-0 pitch. Ball 4 low. And loads them up. He got out of a bases loaded situation last inning by getting Damon to pop up and off him in the ground out. Again, the tying run in scoring position, the go-ahead run at first. But Martinez's club has had the lead throughout after getting 3 runs in the top of the first. The Red Sox been fighting from behind all day. They did get 1 in the bottom of the first, but then Toronto got 4 in the second to make it 7-1. The Red Sox got 2 to make it 7-3. Toronto added a run in the third inning, 8-3, but Clark's 3-run homer in the bottom half made it 8-6. Now here's Hillenbrand, who has fly to center and been hit by a pitch. He takes strike 1.
Figures too is you see Cassidy start to loosen up, the right-hander. Just see a guy walk on 4 pitches, so when Hillenbrand makes his mind up he's going to take one, it ends up being right down the middle of the plate.
Jason Varitek on deck. Strike 2. The outfield around toward right for Shea. Center fielder Wells several steps toward right field. such a hanger, even though it was way out of the strike zone. Hillenbrand couldn't resist. He fouled it off to the right. Ramirez the runner at third, Clark at second, Nixon at first. Another 0-2 to Hillenbrand is low. Mondesi relatively shallow and right. He has a good arm. In the direction of Mondesi, but out of play.
Good fastball there. That's probably the best one he's featured so far. That went about 91 miles an hour, and Hillenbrand a little bit late on it.
Sun back out now. The shadows just about all the way out from the home plate area to the mound. Air in the sunlight now vanishes as a cloud comes by. He is standing in the bright sunshine when the sun is out. The rest of the home plate area in the shade. Another 1-2 pitch. Another foul ball again. Shea Chase went out of the strike zone. He knows he was too much of a free swinger last season. Walked just 12 times. He talked about how in the offseason when he watched the tape he was almost horrified by his lack of discipline at the plate.
It's a hard thing to change.
It sure is.
For a hitter, a guy that's done it his whole career.
That's what he said when he was asked about it last year. I got to the big leagues by swinging the bat, and I'm going to keep swinging the bat.
Maybe he could be just a little bit more patient on first couple of pitches instead of falling behind 0-1 on a bad pitch. Get the count in his favor, then become aggressive again. Certain guys get to the plate, they just want to go. Nomar's a good example of that. Loves the first pitch.
If you're going to hit 350, I guess it's okay. But if you hit 260, you'd like to have a few more walks to help that on-base percentage. 1-2 pitch. Fastball inside.
Fastball inside. See if he comes back with that changeup away from Hillenbrand. Try to induce the ground ball.
Two-two pitch. Up the middle, base hit past the diving Bush. It will score just Ramirez as the ball was played back in by Wells from shallow center field. Clark was held at third. A nice at bat for Hillenbrand. Fouled off some tough pitches after he got to 2 strikes. And it's a one-run game now, 8-7. A 9-pitch at bat, and Hillenbrand won the battle for his first hit and RBI of the year.
No changeup. He went to the breaking ball, and Hillenbrand with the inside-out swing hit it hard and quickly past the dive of Homer Bush. A good charge put on by Vernon Wells in center field, and that will hold the Red Sox to just the 1 run. Excellent at bat by Hillenbrand, Sean. You mentioned fouled off a lot of pitches that were not strikes, and then finally there makes contact on a pretty good pitch.
The first run charged to air. 9 hits now for the Red Sox. Veritek takes a close strike. Jason's had a perfect day hitting left-handed against Carpenter in the second. He homered to right field over the bullpen. And batting from the right side against Ayer is the first batter to face Ayer. Last inning, Jason singled to the left side of the infield. Little lob, shallow right. That's going to fall. The Red Sox have tied it as Clark comes in to score. It's 8-8. They've battled from 6 runs down at one point. It's 7-1 to tie it up.
Well, the Blue Jays had a couple of those back earlier in the ball game, so the Red Sox owe a few. How about this return for Veritek? 3 for 3 with a couple of RBI That ball down below the knees and just drops it in front of Mondesi for the base hit. Well, you had the feeling that that lead was not going to last for the Blue Jays.
And neither starting pitcher will be involved in the decision now. Buck Martinez has the right-handed Cassidy warming up in the bullpen. Sanchez, a right-handed hitter, up now, but a lefty and Damon on deck. He might feel like it's too early in the game to start doing the left and right switching, but Air has not exactly been effective. 5 men in a row have reached base. And a strike to Sanchez, who struck out against Carpenter in the second and walked against Air last inning. 8 runs, 10 hits, an error for Boston. 8 runs, 9 hits, and no errors for Toronto. Bases loaded. Go ahead run at third. Inside, 1-1. The Red Sox have scored in every inning. Nixon now the runner at third. Hillenbrand at second. Varitek at first. The 1-1 low. He's just been nibble since he came into the ball game. And you can understand why, Jerry. Just doesn't look like he has very much that's going to dazzle a hitter. Out of play to the right, a healthy hack by Sanchez.
Yeah, certainly not an overpowering fastball, high 80s. He'll mix in that changeup, the breaking ball. Falling behind a lot of hitters.
Sanchez, the 7th batter of the inning. Johnny Damon to follow. The 2-2 pitch. Chopped foul wide of third.
Well, we had the Patriots here before the game, and this has become more like a football game than a baseball game this afternoon.
What a moment that was.
Hey, did you think about singing with Steven Tyler down there?
No.
Did he ask you to join the group?
I was clapping when he finished, and he looked at me and said, thank you. So he still appreciates applause even after all those Grammys and everywhere he's performed. I saw him in the elevator on the way up. Some people were commending him for the job he did. And he was talking about what an honor it was to be asked. It was really a big thrill for him to be out there today and sing the national anthem. Another 2-2. Up and away, a full count.
Good job there by Sanchez to lay off that pitch. Awful tempting. Well, I thought he'd ask you to join the group and travel with him. Play the drums.
Well, Air has to throw a strike, or the Red Sox will lead for the first time today. Fans on their feet. Payoff pitch. Line toward right side and for a hit. 1 run is in. Nixon has scored. Here comes Hillenbrand. He scores. A 2-run single by Sanchez. All of the newcomers doing it today, and the Red Sox lead 10-8.
Well, we talked in spring training. Sanchez, a very good defensive player, but also not bad offensively, and that's the type of hitter he is. He'll spray the ball all over the ballpark. He laid off a tough pitch to run the count to 3-2, gets that fastball down and just takes it to the opposite field. I'll tell you, what's impressed me today, Sean, is a lot of times on opening day, players are so keyed up, they get out of their game. They forget about the opposite field. We've seen quite a bit of opposite field hitting today, and that's a good sign.
Buck Martinez to the mound. Kind of surprising if he was going to make the pitching change and take the lefty out with Damon coming up. Why wouldn't you just go to the right-hander who pitched to Sanchez?
Exactly.
The lead is gone for Toronto. They led by 6. Now they trail by 2, and will return to Fenway Park right after this. Well, we're only in the 4th inning, and every starter on each team has reached base by a hit or a walk except Vernon Wells. Every Red Sox player has a hit except Manny Ramirez, who's walked 3 times. Scott Air, a very rough inning of relief. He squandered the lead. Ray Sanchez put the Red Sox ahead for the first time today with a 2-run single. 10-8 Boston. Here's Scott Cassidy making his major league debut.
Last year at AAA in Syracuse, 11 starts, had a record of 3-3, 2.71 ERA all through his minor league career as starting pitcher, and beginning the year in the bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays. Also pitched in Tennessee last year, made 15 starts for that ball club.
There's their Double-A affiliate. Already the third pitcher of the day for Buck Martinez and the Blue Jays. We're at a 6-run lead against Pedro Martinez, and they've watched it evaporate. Still only one out here in the fourth. Johnny Damon, the 8th batter of the inning, batting with first and third. Damon 1 for 3. He singled to center his first. Red Sox hit in the second. Fourth time that he's been up in 4 innings. Red Sox scored in every inning. And you have to like the progression. They got 1 run in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, 4 here in the fourth.
Yeah, it could be a pretty big score if they keep up that trend.
Quick, do the math. Low skips away from Fletcher. On to second goes Sanchez.
Well, that's big because it gets Damon to second, Sanchez to second base, and it removes the possibility of a double play. Looks like a changeup that's going to bounce. And scored a wild pitch as it caroms far enough away to get Sanchez to second.
Damon over the top of that changeup. Two balls, 2 strikes. Infield in for Toronto. Down by 2. Trying to keep it right there. Offerman on deck. 2-2 pitch. In the air, little looping fly ball, left center, diving attempt by Wells. He caught the ball. Sanchez scurrying back to second, and he is safe as Bush did not hang on to the ball. Now they're appealing at third. Sanchez should get back on the bag. I think they were indicating that Damon was out because the ball was caught. Varitek tags and scores. There's confusion on the field.
I think what happened is he called out Sanchez back at second base on the return throw from Vernon Wells.
No, Bush dropped the ball. He signaled safe, and then he signaled to Johnny Damon. I thought that he was out.
Well, what about the run from third base? Then that should score.
Yeah, they appealed that, and that was ruled safe. Grady Little, the Blue Jays are coming off the field. Maybe the first base umpire is saying that Damon passed Sanchez. He was already out.
And my initial reaction was the out call was made on Sanchez going back to the bag.
I don't think Bush had the ball.
First of all, a great catch out here by Vernon Wells as he goes into the dive. Maybe a questionable catch there. It looked like that might have bounced.
Maybe they can get rid of the bottom box there. Well, you don't need the bottom box. That's clearly a trap. That should have been a hit.
Yeah, almost like that.
Sanchez is going to be safe at second base, and the run's going to score. We have 2 arguments going on at the same time. Buck Martinez is arguing with Joe Brinkman, and Grady Little's been talking with the first and second base umpires.
Well, to start with, they missed that call because it certainly looked like that ball had dropped in.
It did. It was the third base umpire, Fletcher, who made that call.
And that's why Damon continued on to second base.
All the umpires going to get involved in this conversation now. Damon called out on the catch that wasn't really a catch by Wells. Sanchez, though, looked to be safe going back to second, Jerry, because I don't think Bush held the ball on the throw back in. Looked like the throw was there ahead of him.
Well, then why was there an out call made at second base?
I think he was pointing to Johnny Damon to tell him you're out because the ball was already caught.
Okay, if that's the case.
He did give the safe sign first, indicating that Sanchez was safe. Then he pointed at Damon and said out because Damon was out.
Okay, here's the return throw in. Now, Damon should already be out.
Right. Bush doesn't hold the ball, and Sanchez is on the base.
All right,
that's the safe call.
Okay, he's called safe. You're
and then
exactly
he tells
right.
Damon, you are out.
You're exactly right, Sean.
But that's why Sanchez needed to get on the bag. All Bush had to do was tag him right there because Sanchez isn't on the bag.
Now, see, he thought he was out because he thought he was forced out.
Yep.
Now
and he saw the out sign when he looked up, but the umpire was telling Damon, you're the one who's out. Then Bush threw to third to appeal at third that Varitek left early. And I'm not sure we ever got a ruling on that appeal.
And that's what they're going to do right now. I think they're going to appeal again over at third base.
They're still trying to sort this out with Buck Martinez. But unless they call Varitek out for leaving early on the appeal, it's going to be another run for the Red Sox. And let's see if he leaves early. No.
No, he didn't leave.
He wasn't even close to leaving early. And it shouldn't matter anyway because the ball wasn't caught. It was called a catch. Yeah, here's the umpire started the confusion because he called safe, but neither Sanchez nor Damon see that. Then he's pointing you're out.
Yeah, he's calling Sanchez safe at second base and Damon out on the catch. Now this confusion at third base is probably for an appeal on Veritek, but clearly Veritek tagged up and did not leave early.
And if they do appeal this, there's no way Veritek should be called out because he was still clearly on the base when that ball bounced into the glove.
Did you ever see this many guys hanging around third base?
No.
Look at this. This is the whole team's over here waiting
make
for
sure
something.
the appeal play doesn't go wrong. Everybody's standing over there.
They're waiting to charge the umpires.
I don't think I've ever seen both managers arguing for such an extended period of time at the same time. And I think they got this right in the final analysis with the exception of the beginning part that they botched on the catch.
Yeah.
After that, they got everything right. Buck Martinez finishing up with Joe Brinkman, the crew chief. So the run is scored. It's 11-8 Red Sox. And you wonder if they're going to let them appeal again or if they'll even try.
They may do that. The pitcher may have to step off and make that appeal play to third base. But you're right, Sean. They do have this play right now, with the exception of messing up the play in center field, because it didn't appear that Vernon Wells caught that ball in the air. It looked like it hit the grass first and bounced into his glove. And that's why Damon continued to go to second base.
Number 30.
Cassidy took some extra warm-up tosses. Hinske is going to go to third to appeal.
They're going to appeal this, yeah.
And if they call Veritek out, I think Grady Little's going to come out of the dugout like he was shot out of a cannon. Clearly it would be the wrong call if it's an out. Safe.
They made the right call.
Joe Brinkman, the home plate umpire, called it. That was his call because it was the third base umpire, Fletcher, who went out to the outfield. And here comes Buck Martinez again to argue with Brinkman. The third base umpire didn't make the call on the appeal because he was the umpire who made the call in left field, made the wrong call, as it turned out, that Wells caught the ball. Now Cookie Rojas, the bench coach, up out of the dugout. He's into it with the third base umpire, Fletcher. There's Cookie. And Cookie's being told to get back in the dugout by Darrell Cousins, the first base umpire. And he's been tossed by Darrell Cousins. And here comes Buck Martinez to tell Darrell Cousins, why don't you stay out of it? You're not even involved in this. You're the first base umpire. And I think Buck Martinez is right about this. Fletcher's a big boy over at third. Darrell Cousins isn't even the crew chief. Cookie Rojas really hot, restrained by his longtime friend Buck Martinez. They go back to the Kansas City Royals days.
Well, Cookie better be careful if he's going to go with some suspension time if he bumps him.
Well, somebody else ought to come out and get Cookie away so Buck can continue the conversation with Brinkman and Cousins. And finally, Mark Connor, the pitching coach, is going to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Toronto got a break in all of this because they got the out call.
Yeah, they're mad about the umpiring, but they caught a break. The only wrong call on the whole play was the original catch that wasn't a catch that went in Toronto's favor. But I don't blame Cookie Rojas for being upset that Darrell Cousins comes in from first base to throw him out. He's talking to the third base umpire. The third base umpire wants to run him, let him run him.
Now, the other thing Cookie's upset about, he feels that the third base umpire should have been making that call on the appeal, and he's asking Brinkman, how can you possibly make it from behind home plate?
But that's his call. That's Brinkman's call on a rotation like that.
That's
because
right.
The third base umpire went out in left field. They all have responsibilities. They know it. Well, what a way to start the season. Well, it certainly took the umpires a very long time to sort all of this out. Cookie Rojas still really hot. And Buck Martinez is too.
Well, Sean, the one thing they did do is they got the play right.
With the exception of the beginning.
Exactly.
Which they kicked in Toronto's favor.
Now here's the replay on the tag up. Veritek leaning, but he's clear. He's in plenty of time.
Yeah, he's right on the base, and that wasn't a catch. So the only wrong call went in Toronto's favor.
See, you can leave third base when you're tagging up as soon as the ball hits the glove. So, I mean, he was clearly there when it hit the glove. There's where all the confusion is, out at second base.
Well, how about this opening day? 11-8 in the fourth inning. Cookie Rojas has been ejected.
And how about Sanchez standing off the bag? All they had to do was tag him.
But I think Bush was confused when he saw the out call, too. I think he thought that applied to Sanchez when it was actually directed at Damon. Sanchez back on second base. Varitek has scored. It's a sacrifice fly for Damon. And Cassidy, after the lengthy delay, pitching now to Jose Offerman. Think Scott Cassidy remember his major league debut pretty vividly? Scott, tell us about your first play.
Did I cause all those problems? He calls home tonight, Ma. You weren't going to believe
You're
this.
not going to believe my first at bat facing a major league hitter. We'll send them the tape.
Now, if I get this scored right, that's a sacrifice fly.
Sacrifice fly. Right? Simple sacrifice fly to center field.
Which should have been a base hit.
Yep. The run charge to air. Ball 4. Offerman walks. He's on base for the second time. Toronto pitchers have walked 7. And the Red Sox have batted around for the second consecutive inning. Nomar will come up to be the 10th batter of the 4th inning.
Can you imagine if every one of Johnny Damon's RBIs this season caused that kind of reaction? Johnny, you should have had a hit.
I can just hear Cookie Rojas after the game. These umpires have had it in for us all year. Oh, wait a minute. It was the first game. There's Garcia Parra taking a strike on the inside corner. Nomar started this inning harmlessly enough by striking out. That was on a disputed check swing. That seems like a month ago, doesn't it?
So are the ceremonies.
This was actually exactly 30 minutes ago. Red Sox had a 25-minute inning in the 3rd. They've been up for 30 minutes here in the 4th. It's 55 minutes of at-bats in the last 2 innings. In the dirt, blocked by Fletcher.
If this is a spring training game, all these players would be out of the game by now.
Right. Where's Justin Sherrod? Nomar, in his career, a .341 hitter. Men in scoring position. Second among active players with a minimum of 500 career at-bats. Chased ball 3 and fouled it back onto the screen. 2-2.
Well, as they say in Canada, if you like offense, you got plenty of it today.
Plenty of offense. Who do about that? The 2-2 from Cassidy. In the air in center. Shouldn't be any fireworks on this catch by Wells. That ends the inning. But the Red Sox come up with 5 more. Buck Martinez has lost his bench coach. 11-8 Boston after 4.
Fenway certainly a wild one this afternoon. 11-8. The Red Sox have the lead. Only 1 inning, the top of the 4th. No runs were scored. The league leaders are brought to you by your local Lincoln Mercury dealers. And last year, of course, an average, Ichiro leading at 350. Home runs, Alex Rodriguez with 52. Brett Boone with 141 RBI. And Freddie Garcia, the ERA leader. National League, Walker, 350. Bond, 73 home runs. Sammy Sosa with 160 RBIs. And Randy Johnson, 2.49 ERA. A lot of those same names, I think, would probably be up there at the end of this season, too.
Among the best players and pitchers in baseball. Hard to believe nobody in the entire league with an ERA under 3. I guess that tells you about the state of the offense in the game. And Darren Oliver had a long wait while his mates were giving him the lead with 5 runs in the 4th. Felipe Lopez, the number 9 man, begins the 5th for Toronto, and he's ahead 2-0. Lopez reached on a Pedro Martinez error and scored in the 2nd, tripled and scored in the 3rd. You tuned in late. Toronto jumped off to a 3-0 lead in the top of the 1st against an ineffective Pedro Martinez. The Red Sox got 1 in the bottom on a Jose Offerman home run. Close, but a ball. 3-1. Toronto got 4 more in the 2nd. A 2-run single in the inning by Eric Hinsky. And Buck Martinez and the Jays were off and running. They had 7-1. The Red Sox kept using the long ball. They got solo homers from Nixon and Varitek in the bottom of the second to make it 7-3. Toronto added a run in the third, wound up with 8 runs in all, 7 earned against Pedro Martinez. Boston got a 3-run homer from Clark in the third. Tacked on 5 more in the fourth. Hillenbrand throws out Lopez.
Well, it's going to be up to the bullpen to try to get this game settled down today. A couple of big outs for Oliver to end the fourth inning, keep the Blue Jays off the board. And he gets the first out here and a ground ball out in the fifth.
Aaron came into a first and second nobody out situation. Inherited from Pedro Martinez, and he's retired all 4 men he has faced. Shannon Stewart has had a good day. He has walked, singled, and been hit by a pitch, and has scored twice. Ball 1. 11 runs, 11 hits, an error for Boston. 8 runs, 9 hits, and no errors for Toronto. Here it comes. Back in our direction, not far enough. Too far for Varitek.
We needed that sea breeze to make a play on that shot.
We had the usual April wind here today, and we might have had a play right in the booth. You don't see that wind very often here in April. Out toward right. Usually it's straight in off the ocean from right. Off day for these two teams tomorrow. They'll meet again with the first night game, and there are tickets still available for Wednesday night's game at 6:05. That'll be on Nesson. In the hole, Garcia-Parra, long throw, stretched by Clark, can't get it, it's in the dugout. With Stewart's speed, Clark might have been better served just to come off the bag and make sure he fielded that one. They weren't likely to get Stewart, even if Tony had been able to come up with it on the scoop.
Yeah, once like Nomar, when you commit to making this play, it's awful tough not to make the throw. And you're right, Sean. You see right there, Tony, if he comes off the bag, probably able to block the ball
11,
and keep Stewart at first base. Tony's so tall, though, and can stretch so far that a lot of these plays he can make.
A single for Stewart and then an error on Garcia-Parra, allowing Stewart to go to second. 10 hits now for Toronto. Stewart's been on base 4 times now. Eric Hensky, 3 runs batted in his major league debut. Drove in 2 with a single and scored in the second. A sacrifice fly for another RBI in the third. Yankees and Baltimore are underway on opening day in Oriole Park, and the Yankees lead 1-0 in the first.
Roger Clemens getting the opening day start for the New York Yankees. Scott Erickson for Baltimore, who's been hurt a lot in the last couple of years.
2-0 on Hensky, with Raul Mondesi on deck. Ball 3. If Hensky reached, the Jays would get the tying run to the plate. You have to bet we have not seen the last of the scoring in this game.
Doesn't seem that way.
No.
Don't you love these new rules too? They're quicking the game up.
Oh yeah, it's just speeding right along. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes right now on the top of the 5th. Off the body of Oliver, he couldn't find the ball. Gets a hit. Second hit for Hensky. On the third one, Stewart. So they will get the tying run to the plate.
How about this major league debut for Hensky? Coming over from the Oakland organization. 2 for 3 today. He's got 3 RBI.
I think he has a chance to be a very serious Rookie of the Year candidate.
A couple of good ones. Hensky, and they got Blaylock down there in Texas. We had a chance to see him look like a pretty good player. Sean Burrows over in the National League.
Here's Mondesi representing the tying run, and he drives one to deep left center. Damon drifting back on the edge of the warning track to make the catch. Stewart on to score. It's 11-9. Sacrifice fly and another RBI from Mondesi. The first run charge to Oliver.
I don't think they'll all be like this, Grady, this season.
I think we might have already seen, Jerry, in game one, the most bizarre play we're going to see all year. Or at least the aftermath in that argument and all the confusion about what happened on the catch, non-catch by Wells and Sanchez and Damon around second, the appeal at third, people getting thrown out.
The whole Toronto team at third base waiting to find out whether they should go back in the field or not.
Both managers arguing simultaneously. Delgado hit by a pitch again.
I'm not real happy either.
I mean, he didn't make much of an effort to get out of the way of that one, though, and it really wasn't. I mean, hit him on the arm. That's almost dangling out over the plate.
Pedro got him back in the first inning, and now Oliver. You're right, Sean. This pitch is not that far inside. You can see his arms right out over the plate, and he's just going to turn around and take it off the tricep.
Number 23, the left fielder, Jose
He can lean back a little.
Jr.
He was hit 16 times last year, third in the American League, so he plays a part in it too. He is now the go-ahead run, or rather the tying run at first. Go-ahead run at the plate with Jose Cruz Jr. and Rolando Araujo warming up. Cruz batting right-handed for the first time today. He doubled and drove in a run in the first against Martinez and struck out against Pedro in the second. Walked as the last man to face Martinez in the fourth. Each team with 11 hits. Red Sox lead 11-9. 2 errors by Boston. Toronto has not been charged with an error. One and one. In mostly cloudy skies, the sun has been in and out. Lights have been on throughout. Strike two.
Cruz was better a year ago against lefties. 290. There's that sky behind home plate that Ramirez is looking up to. Looks a little dark.
The ball high. Red Sox trying to win their 5th straight home opener. They beat Tampa Bay in the home opener last year. Open with a win at home against Minnesota in 2000. They beat Chicago here in '99, Seattle in '98. Another foul. Of course, that Seattle victory was one of the most memorable home openers at Fenway Park in the lengthy history of the franchise. Mo Vaughn hit the game-winning home run, a grand slam of Paul Spoljaric in the bottom of the 9th, which the Red Sox trailed 7-2. And entering the bottom of the 9th, they rallied for 7 runs to post a 9-7 win.
That was before Lou Piniella had a bullpen.
Yes. Lined out of the reach of Sanchez. On to score Hinske. Here come the Blue Jays again. It's 11-10.
Well, a lot of players offensively are having a good week today. Cruz picks up his second RBI of the afternoon. He's been on base 3 times. Line drive just past
Number 9,
the glove of Sanchez at second base.
Darren Fletcher.
And once again, a 2-run ball game.
And now the tying run. It's a 1-run game. Scoreboard still is 11-9. Tying run at second. Go ahead run at first.
23 hits in the game already.
Yes. In the top of the 5th.
Says you can't hit in April.
Fletcher trying to dump it in shallow center. That drops for a hit that will tie up the ball game. Delgado around to score. It's 11 apiece. Darren Fletcher with his 3rd RBI and 2nd hit. And Grady Little is on his way to the mound. And he'll bring in Arrojo to pitch to Wells. So Oliver, outstanding last inning in his first, in relief of Martinez, got out of a jam. And he's given up 3 runs and the lead. And his chance to be the winning pitcher on opening day. Now Arrojo will try to keep it a tie game when we come back. On an all-new 24 tomorrow night at 9 on Fox 25.
Good job back in the 4th inning. Struggling here in the 5th inning. Will give way to Rolando Arrojo. 41 games a year ago, and for the first time in his career was used out of the bullpen. Had been a starter throughout his major league career prior to last season, and actually in 32 relief appearances had a record of 3-3 and also had 5 saves for the Red Sox.
Pedro Martinez pitched 3 innings plus 2 batters in the 4th. They gave up 8 runs, 7 earned. Oliver an inning and 2/3, 3 runs all earned on 4 hits. Now Arrojo and Veritek trying to be certain about the signs.
I think also Arrojo was checking on the outs. I think Rolando thought there was 1 out, but 2 listed on the scoreboard, and there are 2 outs in the inning.
Cruz at 3rd and Fletcher at 1st, and a pitch well wide of Vernon Wells, the 8th batter of the inning. He's the only Blue Jay without a hit, and the only starter on either team was not reached base. 0 for 3. Has to be a very lonely feeling in this game.
There's always somebody
yes
in a game like this that will take the collar and will take a lot of abuse when the game's over.
Deep short, a tough play for Nomar on the move. Clark a nice dig, and the out is called. Garth Ord saying, hey, he didn't have it. He dropped that ball into his bare hand. The first base umpire, Darrell Cousins, saying that was on the transfer. Blue Jays get 3 to tie it. Back and forth they go, trading punches, tied 11. An opener. 11 apiece, only halfway through the game. 24 hits. Somehow they'll try to summarize it on Fox 25 News, usually at 4:30. We thought 4:30 was safe today. That would have given us a little bit over a 3-hour game. Forget about 4:30 today. When it happens, Jody Applegate will have all the news of the day, including a complete wrap-up of today's game. Plus, Nebois Delaney profiles a whole new world of eating delights. Something different and delicious. And Fox 25's chief meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz has the sunny forecast. Isn't that nice? I think you're doing the weather tomorrow, are you not, on the Fox 25 News at 4:30?
That's the rumor that's going around. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about opening day and maybe do an extended forecast.
It's about time. We've been talking about this for a year now. I want to see you in front of the Doppler radar.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff.
Hope it's a nice, easy call tomorrow. We don't need any coastal storms or anything like that, you know.
Manny Ramirez has walked 3 times and scored twice. He only started without a hit, but he's been a factor in the game. Facing Scott Cassidy. 2-0 the count. And he hasn't seen many strikes today. Ramirez, Clark, and Nixon coming up. Cassidy's pitched 2/3 of an inning of relief. And given up 1 walk. He pitched in Syracuse last year, and that's his hometown. Born in Syracuse and still lives in the Salt City area in Clay, New York. Beautiful country up there.
That Syracuse make out in the NIT this year.
They lost in the semifinals. Will you put up to that?
No, it just came out.
Ball 4. Manny walks for the 4th time. Manny's seen a total of 5 strikes and 4 at bats.
The first baseman.
He walked 4 times in a game last June. All of them were intentional walks. That was in the 18-inning game against Detroit. done it 5 innings today. We're going to see a lot of things today, Jerry. We're probably not going to see the rest of the year.
I don't ever recall an opening day since I've had this job where it's been this kind of game, 11-11 in the 5th inning.
You can get some high scores. The Red Sox scored 11 in the home opener last year and 13 2 years ago. 6 in 99, 9 runs in 98. So they have come out swinging in the home opener. They scored 9 runs in 96 in the home opener, 9 more in 95, also 9 in 94. So they piled up some big numbers in the home opener.
What about the other team, though?
Well, Red Sox have won 4 in a row, and they come in having won 8 of their last 9 home openers. The only loss in that stretch was in 1997 when they lost to Seattle 5-3. Steve Avery took the loss. A ball, 2-2. Todd Nixon is on deck. Ball 3. Cassidy's a graduate of Lemoyne College in Syracuse. Outstanding baseball program there. Ball 4 outside. You know the nickname for Lemoyne College?
Tigers.
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
Jim DeShay,
Number 7, the
a
right
product of Lemoyne
fielder.
College.
I saw him down in Houston.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was Houston?
All right.
You didn't like the park?
The park was okay, a little bit short in left field, but very nice otherwise. I was surprised at downtown Houston. It wasn't quite as big as I thought it would be.
They actually have kind of almost two separate downtowns there.
Yeah.
Very spread out city. Back-to-back walks. Cassidy's walked 3 of the 5 men he's faced, and he throws a ball to Todd Nixon, who has homered, struck out, and walked. He has scored twice and driven in a run. And a solo homer in the second. This is sort of a carryover from the last exhibition game Saturday in Houston, where the Red Sox scored 9 runs in the first inning. 1-1 now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in that inning we had John Henry and Joe O'Donnell sitting behind us waiting to get on air, and it's almost like that inning was never going to end.
Nixon pops it up. Shallow center. Wells made a big circle under it. Makes the catch. 1 out.
Well, that ball really got to push back towards center field. Started out toward left, and you can see the wind really gusting now toward the bullpen area, and Wells had to quickly change directions. Pretty strong wind this afternoon here at Fenway.
The third baseman, Shea Hillenbrand.
Ball goes up, and it looks like it might be the left fielder that's going to make the play, and all of a sudden it gets a push, and Vernon Wells back towards second base to make the catch.
One out. And the batter, Shea Hillenbrand. Strike 1. Shea has fly to center, walk. He singled to center to drive in a run in the 4th and scored. (11-11) the score. The Blue Jays once led by 6. The Red Sox had a 3-run lead. Now they're even. Up and in. Cassidy missed a month and a half of the 2000 season in the minors when he learned that he was diabetic. He's now 26 years old, making his major league debut in this one. Here he comes again, back in our direction and on the screen. Yankees in Baltimore have gone to the 3rd at Camden Yards. Still 1-0 New York. The opener for those two teams. Other openers in the American League today: Minnesota's at Kansas City, Chicago at Seattle, and tonight Texas and Oakland. One-two pitch from Cassidy. Fouled out of play to the right. Let's pause for station identification on the Fox 25 Red Sox television network.
You're watching Bangor's PAX 33, WBGR Bangor.
Sean McDonough, Jerry Remy, our producer director John Wilson, rather. We're changing everybody's title. This game has been so long. Producer Russ Kent. Associate producer Dave Corris. Here's a pitch in the dirt. Here is started toward third and then thought better of it. It didn't get very far away from Fletcher.
Now you would think, Sean, the way the shadows are out there now at covering the pitcher's mound and home plate, as Felix Heredia starts to loosen up in the bullpen for Toronto, left-hander, that it may become a little bit more problem for the hitters, but I don't know if you can expect that this afternoon.
Hitters haven't had any problems so far. Hillenbrand sends it a mile high up into that now gusty breeze. Infield fly rule in effect. Bush caught it. 2 outs. Well, we have a moment we want to send along get well wishes to John Riley, our good pal, former Red Sox executive, who's watching the game at home today. First time in 53 years that John Riley has missed opening day at Fenway Park. It doesn't seem quite the same around here without him. John, I hope you feel better soon and come right back in here at Fenway Park where you belong. Jason Varitek looked at a strike. He's had a perfect opening day. Waited a long time for today. First major league action since last June. He has homered and singled twice. Scored 2, driven in 2. 1-1. Talk about the Red Sox success on home openers. Blue Jays a little cocky about their home opener later this week against Minnesota. Guaranteed win night. If the Blue Jays do not win on April 4th, they're going to give every fan in attendance a free ticket to another game. Close, but ball 3. Ticket up to $39, so you're going to get a pretty nice ticket.
It's amazing. First game of the season.
Yeah, they were awfully cocky early.
Guaranteed win night.
Guaranteed win night on the first home game of the year. 3-1 pitch. Outside, ball 4.
That's 2 pitches in a row that appeared to be strikes.
Well, Joe Brinkman is a long-time American League umpire, and apparently he's not paying any attention to these directives about widening the strike zone, calling more strikes.
Fletcher having a little chat with him, not turning around to talk to him, but questioning the last couple of pitches. That one did appear a bit outside. The one previous to that was much closer.
By my count, that's 10 walks for Toronto pitchers already.
That's not good.
In addition to the 11 Red Sox hits. There's another pitch that wasn't in the breadbox strike zone. Ray Sanchez had a big 2-run single that put the Red Sox ahead for the first time in the 4th inning. It broke an 8-8 tie. He walked in the 3rd, struck out in the 2nd. Batting now in the 5th. You know you're doing something when your number 9 hitter is up for the 4th inning in a row. Jammed, and he chopped it foul. Red Sox sent 5 men to the plate in the 1st inning, 6 in the 2nd. 9 men to the plate in the 3rd, 10 in the 4th. And Sanchez is the 6th batter of the 5th inning. And Cassidy to retire him. Be the 1st inning of the game in which the Red Sox have not scored. Dug out of the dirt with a backhand of Fletcher. He's got to be a little tired already.
I think both catches, Jason Varitek and Fletcher. Fletcher certainly hoping that's not a sign of things to come all season long.
2-1 pitch going right down the middle and missed it.
I think Cassidy has a pretty good arm, good life on his fastball. The problem is we're falling behind quite a few hitters.
Well, he'll be a little nervous here in his major league debut. This will be pitch number 288 of this game. We're in the 5th inning. And fittingly, it's a ball. And a full count. And the runners will be off with a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. Clark from second, Ramirez from third. There's Clark and Veritek at first. He loaded the bases on walks, and Cassidy threw a strike when he had to there. Cassidy has faced 8 batters, walked 4 of them. He's a ball away for another walk to Sanchez. Sanchez has never had a bases loaded walk in his career. He's at 65 career at bats with the bases full. Never walked. He's due. And he gets one down the middle and strikes out. Foul tipped into the middle of Fletcher. Red Sox failed to score for the first time in the ball game in the 5th inning. And the Red Sox and Blue Jays are still tied at 11 on opening day 2002 at Fenway Park.
Please report.
11. 13 hits for the Blue Jays, 11 for the Red Sox. Well, with Verizon Wireless opening day 2002 underway, the Red Sox would like to take this time to thank our great fans for all their support. It's the year to be here at Fenway Park, so come catch some excitement. The tickets, call 617-4824-SOX or log on to redsox.com.
Number 18, the second baseman, Homer Bush.
Standing room only crowd on opening day 2002 at Fenway Park. They've seen a wild home opener. And there's a long way to go yet. Tied at 11, 6th inning. Homer Bush has doubled, grounded to short, and he struck out against Aaron Oliver in the 4th. Bush, Lopez, and Stewart, the 8, 9, and 1 batters. Against Rolando Araujo, who hits Bush.
The Red Sox have been taking aim at a few of these Toronto hitters today. Delgado twice. Now Homer Bush.
Stewart has also been hit by a pitch.
Number 7, the shortstop,
I think any of them have really been intentional, but
Lopez.
you just wonder, hey, 4 is too many. Sooner or later, there might be a retaliatory strike.
Well, it happens quite often in cool weather. Sometimes pitchers can't get the grip on the baseball they'd like to.
Lopez chops it up the middle. Araujo slowed it down. Might have cost him a double play. Out at first on a bang-bang play. I think if Rolando had let that pass by, they had a chance for 2. Of course, your instincts take over when you have a chance to make a play. So Lopez out at first. 1-4-3 if you're scoring.
Now that's one there. If
Number
Araujo does not
24,
make contact, that's when Sanchez takes tag second himself and then completes the double play. Just barely got him out at first base.
So the go-ahead run in scoring position. Bush at second. Stewart up for the 5th time. He's been on base 4 times. He scored 3 runs. He takes a ball low. Stewart walked and scored in the 1st, leading off the game. Set the tone for this game. He singled and scored in the 2nd. Was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Had an infield hit and scored again in the 5th. Out ahead of that one from Araujo. Over the weekend, Stewart's agent, Jeff Morad, claimed that Stewart was promised that he'd be the everyday left fielder by manager Buck Martinez during an off-season meeting between the two. Morad said it's not easy with a last-minute switch, especially after he was assured by the manager that the left field job was his. Fouled back here.
Well, I'm sure Buck Martinez, going through spring training, making the decision that he felt was best for the ball club. With the other 3 guys in the outfield, feels that maybe he has a better defense in the outfield, and certainly Stewart a terrific offensive player, is going to get his bats from that leadoff spot.
Not a very good defensive player. Morad continued to make this change this late in camp as a slap in the face. Wow. Strike 3. What do you know? A strikeout. We've seen plenty of walks, not very many strikeouts. That's the first for Arrojo.
Number
A
11.
sweeping breaking ball
the
from
third
Arrojo,
baseman,
drops down about 3/4 and picks up the outside corner. A little bit nasty there on right-handed hitters. See that backside go for Stewart. Once that happens, not too many results are very good for that hitter when the backside goes.
Check swing, a strike. Eric Hinsky, the rookie's had a terrific major league debut. 2 for 3, 2 singles, a sacrifice fly, 3 runs batted in. Has scored twice. How about Morad saying to make a change this late in camp is a slap in the face, but Shannon's a true professional. He will not complain. Well, why don't you be a true professional and not complain?
Well, that's the whole
idea. He doesn't need to complain. You're doing it for him.
Player can keep quiet and the agent complains.
Nice to know these things don't happen only in Boston. Morad said Buck sets the lineup and Shannon will follow instructions. Good. Enough. Be quiet. Go away. A ball, 2-1. Isn't he also Manny Ramirez's agent? He's the one who kind of touched off the storm about Manny wasn't comfortable.
Yeah. And Manny kept saying, I'm fine.
Yeah.
No problem.
Manny tried to back away from all that in spring training. Maybe Morad just ought to let his clients speak for themselves.
At a manager club, maybe.
He's actually a pretty good guy, too. I don't know if you met Jeff Morad.
No, I never have. No.
He's a good guy.
Well, he takes a deep concern in his clients.
Yeah. More concerned than his clients, perhaps. 3-1 to Hinsky. Here's ball 4. He's on base for the 3rd time. The first walk given up by Arrojo. He's hit a batter and walked a man in this inning.
That's like working with you, Sean. I hear quite often from your representative. You don't directly speak with me on matters of that, but you know he'll come out every once in a while and say, Jerry, he's not real happy with this or that, and I just accept that. That's no big deal. I know it's not coming from you. It's from your representative.
Were you talking? Tony Cloninger on his way to the mound. Sorry, folks, I was distracted. I thought I heard someone talking off in the distance. My headset doesn't seem to be working quite as well now.
You gotta get used to it because it's going to happen 67 times this year, whether you like it or not.
We'll have our fancy new Fox 25 windbreakers this year.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
I put mine on here. It's getting a little cool. Fox 20 socks on Fox 25. Russ Kent, our producer, had these in his car, and his wife runs a pet care business.
You have pet hair?
I have every type of fur and hair off an animal you could ever see on this windbreaker, and I'm allergic to everything, so I'm going to sneeze my head off. Business must be good at the Michelle Ken Pet Sitting Center down there in the South Shore.
And tomorrow I'll
Free
be
plug
Fox
for Michelle's business, by the way.
I'll try to get some of those super duper, you know, those nice jackets that they wear when they're out in the field in the storms and everything. And
oh, when you do the weather.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get
that's what I thought. We're gonna have some real outerwear. This is kind of it's nice. It's a windbreaker.
It's free.
And it's warmer than it was intended to be with all the fur on it. Broken bat bouncer down to third. Hillenbrand goes to Sanchez for the out that ends the inning. The Blue Jays strand 2. I'm about to sneeze. You're watching the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. .com, Boston's best source for job opportunities. New pitcher for Toronto as we go to the home half of the 6th inning in an 11-11 tie. Their 4th pitcher of the ball game, the lefty Felix Heredia.
48 games for the Cubs, all out of the bullpen a year ago. He came over to the Blue Jays in that Alex Gonzalez trade. Gonzalez going to the Cubs, plays shortstop, and Heredia coming along from the National League. Also pitched for the Marlins back in 96, 97, and 98, and then on to Chicago for 4 seasons.
And Cassidy managed to make it through an inning and 2/3 without being scored upon. He didn't give up a hit, even though he walked 4. And threw just 21 strikes out of 47 pitches. He was not scored upon in his major league debut. Top of the order, Johnny Damon against Heredia. The 1-strike pitch is low. Felix could make a left-handed hitter uncomfortable with that delivery.
Slingshot delivery.
Kind of strange when you give up your starting shortstop, who's a pretty solid player for a guy with an ERA of 6, isn't it?
And apparently they wanted to get rid of some salary. They felt like they had Lopez they could move over there to shortstop. They made the deal for Hinsky, the third baseman, with JP's former club, the Oakland Athletics. So they got a little bit younger.
Alex Gonzalez, an enormously highly paid player and a pretty solid player.
But may have been soon.
Yeah. One and 2 on Damon. Offerman and Garcia Parra due to follow. The ball 2-2. Works from the stretch even without anybody on base. Pretty common among relievers. That'll keep you loose. Head high fastball at 90 miles an hour. The count is full on Damon. And he fouls one away.
Johnny Damon, probably one of those players uncomfortable wearing long sleeves. Cool out there this afternoon. Still going with the short sleeves.
Cooler now here in the late afternoon. The home plate area now in the shade. Johnny's a Floridian from Orlando. Hits in the air and right. A little push from the wind, but not enough. Mondesi makes the catch. Tough time of the day now for the right fielder with the sun dropping in the western sky.
Yeah, that's what Fenway is famous for. Late in the afternoon, very difficult for right fielders, sometimes the second baseman, until that sun gets down below that third base area.
Number 30, the designated hitter, Jose Offerman.
Jose Offerman, the batter. He scored the Red Sox first run of the season, had their first hit when he homered on the first pitch he saw from Chris Carpenter with 1 out in the first inning. Since then he has struck out, grounded out, and walked.
If a left-hander starts against the Red Sox, you'd probably see Ricky Henderson in the leadoff spot, followed by Johnny Damon. With either Henderson or Ramirez being the DH.
Doesn't seem that Brian Dahlbach figures into the projected starting lineup against left-handers or right-handers. Little cue shot off the end of the bat. Delgado juggled it for a moment. 2 down. This game quieting down a little bit after a wild first 5 innings.
Well, it just couldn't keep up that pace.
No.
Number 5, the shortstop, Nomar.
2 down, bottom of the 6th. The game tied at 11. Red Sox with 11 hits. The Blue Jays at 13. Nomar has 1 for 4, double to open the 3rd. He scored in that inning on a Tony Clark home run. Offerman, Nixon, Varitek, and Clark have all homered for the Red Sox today. Nomar trying to add to that. The wind will help push it back toward fair territory, and not quite enough. Ball hasn't carried well at all to the left or left center today. Has been getting up in the jet stream and jumping out to right and right center.
And especially if the ball's hit high, because Fenway obviously not that tall, and the wind has a tendency to really knock it down. It has been given a push, though, out toward right field.
Swung at one about shoulder high, and Nomar upset with himself as he nubbed it into the Toronto dugout. Day off tomorrow. Game 2 of the season Wednesday at 6 o'clock on Nesson. Dustin Hermanson against Luke Prokopek. Line to third. And stop the game and pop the tape out of the VCR, folks. There's the first 1, 2, 3 inning for either side. Casey Fossum will be the new pitcher. When we come back, we're heading to the 7th, tied at 11. Martinez and Cookie Rojas very upset out of the Toronto dugout. Rojas, the bench coach, was ejected.
The first baseman.
Martinez survived.
Delgado.
And that kind of typifies the kind of day it's been here at Fenway Park today. And here's the new Red Sox pitcher, the 4th of the day for Boston, the slender lefty Casey Fossum.
After 20 starts in Trenton, Casey called to the big leagues and made 13 appearances for the Red Sox, 7 of those starts, and ended up with a 3-2 record, 4.87 ERA. Some question in spring training whether he was going to make the club, get sent back and start at AAA, but Red Sox feel they could use him as a lefty out of the bullpen.
And he pitched very well in spring training to earn his way. 3 ball one way inside to Carlos Delgado, who's already been hit twice and hasn't been all that happy about it. He's been on base 4 times, 2 hits, and he's been hit twice. He scored 2 and driven in a run. Right down the middle, a strike. Rojo pitched an inning in the 3rd without allowing a hit or a run. He walked 1, hit a batter, and struck out 1. Delgado, Cruz, and Fletcher due up. 2 left-handed hitters and a switch hitter. Low, ball 3. Red Sox pitchers have not had a 1, 2, 3 inning, and Radia just pitched the first of the day for Toronto. It's low for ball 4.
Number
Now, is that it? Do we sign off now for the Fox 25 News at 4:30, or do we keep going with the game?
I think we, being opening day, we just keep going with the game, and the Fox News becomes, I guess, whenever the game's over.
News at whenever.
4:20. I mean, 5:20, 5:35.
You want to set an over/under?
Not in this game, no.
Well, it's cranking right along now. We are well past the 3-hour mark already. Jose Cruz Jr. He's been on base 3 times. A double, a walk, and a single. He's driven in 2, scored a run. Fossum having control trouble. 2-0.
Tony Cloninger, Red Sox pitching coach, who came in with, what, about 2.5 weeks left in spring training.
Two and 1.
Only move on the coaching staff that was made with after Grady Little was named manager. Go back a long time, those two guys.
They sure do, about 25 years. I think Grady Little will always remember his first major league game as a manager too. He's seen thousands of baseball games, but this one has to stand out.
Well, if he expected to be tied at this stage of the game, he probably thought it'd be about maybe 1-1, 2-2.
In the air in the left. Ramirez for the first out of the inning. Delgado back to first with 1 out.
Number 9,
Darren Fletcher.
the catcher.
Double to knock in 2 in the first, struck out in the
Fletcher.
2nd, dropped down to sacrifice bunt in the 4th, and singled in the 5th. Strike 1. play, and Fossum was quickly ahead of Fletcher, 0-2.
Press row, which is overcrowded today, being opening day. That foul ball made its way into press row. I don't think anybody made a play on it. They wait till it starts bouncing around, and they pick it up.
I think I'm credit for having the windows open, though, late in the day. It's chilly now. Some of them over there don't have the windows open. Still 0-2.
All in all, Sean, when I first saw the schedule and it said April 1st, opening day at Fenway, I was pleasantly surprised with the weather today.
This is more than acceptable. Fletcher just caught a piece of it.
And usually with the cooler temperatures coming out of spring training, you advantage generally with the pitches, but that has not been the case in this ball game. Wasn't that a brilliant statement?
Would you like to repeat it?
I think they get the idea.
Yes. Fossum, Waco, Texas. 1-2 pitch. Rip to right. Long run for Nixon. On the go in the gap. He makes the catch. Delgado almost all the way to second. Nixon just sees him now and throws toward first, but has no chance. Nice running catch by Trott.
He got an excellent jump, because when this ball left the bat, it looked for sure that was going to be a gapper between Nixon and Johnny Damon, but an excellent jump on that. And fortunately for Trott, he was going away from the sun field, so that did not become a factor for him. Throws back in, and Delgado back in safely at first base. Saved extra bases and maybe a run.
Vernon Wells. Still the only starter who has not reached base on either side. 0 for 4 now. Hasn't had it out of the infield. Chop to third. Picked up off the dirt by Hillenbrand. Awkward stretch by Clark, but he makes the play for the out that ends the inning. Blue Jays have now stranded 11 base runners. 11 is the magic number at the moment. They're tied at 11 for the 7th inning stretch. Seventh inning stretch. And over the PA system during the 7th inning stretch, the strains of God Bless America. Game nearly 2 hours and 20 minutes long, 3 hours and 20 minutes long now, but doesn't like anybody's left on a chilly late afternoon in America's greatest city.
Well, those who waited for their opening day tickets certainly will get their money's worth in this one, if they like offense.
Casey Fossum being congratulated for getting through the top of the 7th unscathed. You're wondering the record for the most runs scored by the Red Sox in a home opener. 15 in a 15-5 win over the Yankees April 6th of 1973. Carlton Fisk hit 2 homers, including a grand slam, and drove in 6 runs in that game. Louis Tiant was the winning pitcher. And the most runs by the opponent, also 15. The Red Sox lost 15-10 to the Yankees April 18th of 1950, a game the Red Sox led 9-0 after 5 innings, and were outscored 15-1 the rest of the way. Here's Manny Ramirez, who's walked 4 times, 3rd time in his career. 2nd time it's happened against the Blue Jays.
You're mentioning, Sean, Louis Tiant got a tremendous ovation as he was introduced prior to the ball game. And I believe Louis is going to be doing some work on the Spanish radio also during the
working
course
with the
of the
Lowell
season.
Spinners, right? When they start their season.
Right.
What is the reason for the delay? Do you have any idea?
ESPN, I believe, is doing the game, so there's a little extra time between innings.
The left fielder, Ramirez.
They're jabbering away over there. I would assume that they're back from commercial. Gary Miller and Harold Reynolds calling the game. I knew you and Gary are longtime pals. Manny Ramirez takes the ball up and away.
For some reason, I'm walking in the hall, and of course I know Harold, and I shook hands with Harold, and former second baseman. And Gary, I called Carl for some reason. Carl Ravish came out. Not the whole name, just Carl, and I hope he didn't hear it.
He didn't respond?
No, he was very polite and said, "Hi, Bill. How are you?" I don't get to watch a lot of TV other than, Fox 25 and Nesson, of course. So.
Wow, that didn't take long. Shameless. You are shameless. The 1-1 from Heredia. The chopper foul. Ramirez, Clark, and Nixon, the middle third of the order. The Red Sox have not had a hit since the 4th inning. Heredia came on last inning, pitched the first, and still the only 1-2-3 inning of this game. Baltimore's rallied to take a 4-1 lead over the Yankees. Ramirez a swing and a miss. So in his first official at bat of the year, he strikes out.
Manny a little bit fooled on that pitch. Looked like he was expecting the fastball. Instead got the breaking ball from Heredia. Strange afternoon for Manny. The ball walks, and now the strikeout.
Tony Clark.
A sweeping breaking ball and a very late swing on that by Ramirez. A little bit rusty. Hadn't had to swing very much this afternoon.
He's happy to finally see a few strikes. Here's Tony Clark. He bangs one to left, and it is caught. Nice backhanded sliding catch by Jose Cruz Jr.
That was an absolute rocket on the line, hit by Tony Clark. And of course, Cruz, as we mentioned, moving from center field to left field, and makes a nice backhanded play on that line drive. That's one that if it gets by him, it's probably only going to be a single because it's hit so hard.
Number 7, the right fielder, Trot Nixon.
Trot Nixon, the hitter. He hit a solo homer leading off the second, struck out, walked, and scored in the 4th, fly to center in the 5th. Looked at ball 1 from Felix Heredia. El Guapo Rich Garces warming up. Minnesota and Kansas City underway at Kauffman Stadium. The Twins lead 3-1 in the 2nd inning. Trot trying to put the Red Sox ahead with that swing. Couldn't get to it. 2-1.
A lot of left-handers in that bullpen for Buck Martinez. Bourbon, Heredia, Plesac,
and Air. Two and two. I think Buck Martinez is going to send the tape of that Cruz catch to Shannon Stewart's agent.
They had a similar situation up there under the Jimmy Williams regime. George Bell.
He didn't want a DH. Payoff pitch, fouled away.
And Jimmy, a lot of problems did not get the backing of the front office in that little squabble, and Jimmy eventually moved on. He looked very comfortable over the weekend down in Houston. He's got a very good club. Some great young pitching on that team.
Although we didn't see it on Saturday, but
no,
they do. Ball 4. Nixon walks for the second time. Toronto pitchers have walked 11 Red Sox hitters today.
Number 29.
And the go-ahead run aboard. Here's Shea Hillenbrand.
Shea Hillenbrand.
He singled a drive and a run and scored in the fourth. He walked in the third. If I have that as a walk on my scorecard, did he get walked or hit by a pitch in the third inning?
I got a walk.
I have a walk too. One strike on Hillenbrand. Outfield around toward right. Some room in left center for Shea as Delgado holds. Nixon. Hillenbrand skips out of the way of the ball. 1-1.
Still problems, as you can see, by the sunshine out there for the right fielders in this game.
Ball 2. Earlier, Leo White told us there have been 288 pitches in this game. That was quite a while ago. Want to guess?
370.
I don't know. Leo's playing out his abacus right now to add them all up. Little pop up and it drops. Nixon to second. Hillenbrand has his second hit. Somewhere Shannon Stewart saying I would have caught that one.
Well, there have been all kind of hits in this game today. Long home runs, line drives, and quite a few bloop base hits. That ball jammed to Shea Hillenbrand, but drops it between Jose Cruz and Felipe Lopez. Well, they don't generally put a fielder between those two guys on left and shortstop, so most of the time that ball will drop in.
No short fielder.
No, not in this game.
No.
And I think already you're expected there to be one.
Well, the go-ahead run in scoring position now. Here's Varitek, who's had a perfect day. 3 for 3, 2 singles, a homer, and a walk. He has driven in 2 and scored twice. And a break, an 11-all tie. It's been that way since the 5th inning. That was pitch number 344 of the game. Swing and a foul ball off to the right. The attendance here today, 33,520. 3-3-5-2-0. Earliest home opener ever at Fenway. Red Sox played on April 1st before in a season opener, but both times on the road. At Texas in '96 and at Oakland in '98. Fly ball drifting out of play to the right.
Jason Varitek got a huge ovation from the crowd as he went down to the bullpen to warm up Pedro Martinez before the game. All the injured players from a year ago, Red Sox fans happy to see him back.
Ouch. He didn't miss that part. Of all the injured players, it seemed like Nomar in the spring demonstrated the best that he was healthy.
Yes.
There were concerns about Varitek and Martinez.
Varitek made improvements, you could see, as the spring went, and I think he'll continue to get stronger and stronger as the year goes on. Remember, it takes about a year after surgery to go back to, if you're going to be 100%.
Another 1-2 from Heredia in the dirt. Skips by Fletcher, and the runners move up. Nixon to third and Hillebrand to second.
Another wild pitch by Heredia. Again, that sweeping breaking ball. And Veritek, who just fouled the ball off his foot, almost got hit in the foot by this pitch. And the dance out of the way, but now 2 men in scoring position.
The 2-2 outside a full count. Ray Sanchez, the number 9 man on deck. Fans back to their feet. Heredia to Veritek with the 3-2 pitch. He walked him. Went to a changeup and missed low. The second walk in the inning. Here's Sanchez in a big spot again.
The second baseman, Ray Sanchez.
Ray struck out in the second, walked in the third, and a big 2-run single. Give the Red Sox a 10-8 lead in the fourth. He struck out with the bases loaded to end the fifth.
Now this gives you an idea of how Grady Riddle's going to manage. Probably not very much pinch hitting throughout this lineup. On the bench from the right side, you've got Henderson, Mirabelli, Merloni, and Baega, the switch hitter. But Sanchez has had a good day. Had that base hit to drive in a couple of runs.
Dan Plesac warming up.
How long has Dan Plesac been playing now? It seems like 35 years. I remember him when he was a closer for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he continues to do a good job for Toronto.
Keeps himself in very good shape. He's 40 years old now. Been in the big league since '86.
86.
Ball one up and away to Sanchez. He struck out on a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded in a very similar situation in the fifth inning. That was against Cassidy. Fly ball, shallow left center, sinking fast, dive, catch by Cruz. And in this inning, he made the decision by Buck Martinez to use Shannon Stewart as a DH and put Cruz in left. Wells in center looked brilliant because Cruz made 2 big catches in the inning. This one might have saved the day for Toronto. Red Sox leave them loaded again, tied at 11 after 7.
Hey, rain. I'm going to predict rain for Wednesday.
See you, Jody. That was fun. Who's the new pitcher?
El Guapo. Rich Garces coming on for the first time this year, obviously, and the 62 times a year ago for the Red Sox. A 6-1 record for the new slimmed down El Guapo. He really did come in spring training in as good a shape as we've seen him over the last couple of years.
Casey Fossum pitched a scoreless inning and walked one. So you're going to actually go in there early and learn how to use all the weather equipment, or are you just going to stand there and give the forecast? I mean, do the whole weather package. You know, change the satellites and the radar and the screens.
It's a lot of gadgets. I'm not good with a lot of gadgets. I'll probably get in there. What's the 4:30 news? 4 o'clock. What is it? 4:30?
4:30.
4:30 news. I'll get in there probably 8:30 tomorrow morning.
One of those interesting coincidences that the news at 4:30 actually begins at 4:30.
It's 4:30, right? Well, it's not today. It's not going to be at 4:30.
No, misnamed today. Homer Bush begins the 8th against Rich Garces. He was doubled and been hit by a pitch. Ball one just missed. Bush, Lopez, and Stewart coming up. Breaking ball, a strike. Blue Jays have not had a hit since the 5th. Red Sox have had 1 hit since the 4th. After a wild start, it was 11-11 after the top of the 5th inning, and they're still tied at 11 now in the 8th. 1-2. Let's pause for station identification on the Fox 25 Red Sox television network. Delighted to have you with us for the first of our 67 regular season telecasts here on Fox 25 and our Red Sox network throughout New England. First game of the season for our crew. We've had spring training. Some of our crew members have not. So whatever rust they might have had for a baseball game, they're getting a good chance to work it off today. Well, you wouldn't detect any rust. Usual flawless performance.
Not right on target with everything.
Our technicians, as always, capturing all of the flavor. The 2-2 pitch came after him with a fastball, line to right. Nixon. See him turn his head away after making the catch. That sun is right in his face now.
Fortunately, too, Nixon playing shallow against Homer Bush out there in right field, and that line drive probably right in the sun as it starts to go down a little bit on that third base line. Well, the spectacular catch there by Jose Cruz to end the last inning. That was a catch. The one by Vernon Wells early in the game, I'm not so sure of.
No, it was definitely not a catch. It's a good thing Cruz caught that one too, because Heredia might have mumbled about the lack of the short fielder catching. Felipe Lopez sends it to left. Ramirez the catch. 2 quick outs for El Guapo here in the 8th. Lopez now 1 for 5.
Number 24.
Top of the order, and Shannon Stewart for the 6th time.
Shannon Stewart.
Finally got him out in the 6th inning when he struck out against Rojo. He was walked, singled, been hit by a pitch, and singled again. He has scored 3 runs. Toronto didn't hit for a very high average last year. They hit .263 as a team. That was 10th best in the American League. And they hit 195 homers last year, well down from their club record total of 244 in 2000. Finished in the middle of the pack, 7th in the league in home run.
You know, offensively, they did steal quite a bit. 3rd in the league in steals with 156 as a club.
The 1-1. Now the play. Entered by smiling Ed Brickley back for another year at the public address microphone here at Fenway Park. First of many camera appearances for Ed, and smiles. One-two pitch. Fouled back.
It's interesting, Sean, with some players, obviously they want to be full-time, they want to play defense, but a lot of guys get used to DHing and they end up enjoying that. Critical for Stewart to have success early in the year in that role, and maybe he'll get accustomed to it and enjoy doing that. I remember Ramirez last year when he was DHing. He got to like that.
Check swing, tapper, the agile Garces to Clark to end the inning. That draws some oohs and ahs from the sellout crowd. We go to the bottom of the 8th, tied at 11. Wild opening day, although the game's calmed down since the 5th. Orioles lead the Yankees 5-1 in the opener at Camden Yards. Tony Batista hit a grand slam off Roger Clemens. The Twins lead the Royals 3-2. Brad Radke versus Jeff Suppan. White Sox and the Mariners getting underway right now. And the Rangers and the Oakland Athletics tonight in Oakland. The scoreboard brought to you by your friendly New England Dodge dealers. National League, the Braves beat the Phillies 7-2. Tom Glavine was the winning pitcher. The Mets open with a win at home against Pittsburgh. 6-2 behind Al Leiter. The Reds lead the Cubs 4-3 in the 8th inning. Diamondbacks 1, Padres nothing as they begin their defense of their World Championship here in the 6th. And the Cardinals ahead of the Rockies 1-0 in the 3rd in St. Louis. Here's Dan Plesac, the new pitcher, working to Johnny Damon, who looked at ball 1. Top of the order to greet the 40-year-old lefty Plesac.
Back-to-back seasons of 62 appearances, 4 and 5 last year. All those appearances out of the bullpen for Toronto. Sean mentioned a career going back that started in 1986 with Milwaukee, was a closer for the Brewers. Went to the Cubs, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Arizona, then back to Toronto for the 2001 season.
Damon is 1 for 4 with an RBI on a sacrifice fly, and it should have been a hit. Non-catch. It was ruled a catch by Vernon Wells back in the 4th inning. He singled in the 2nd, his first Red Sox hit. Ball 3 low. Urbina in the Red Sox bullpen, hoping he'll come into a save situation. Escobar is now their closer, working in the Toronto pen. Strike on the inside corner.
Johnny Damon taking that all the way to run the count to 3-2. The job of a leadoff hitter, especially late in the game.
Payoff pitch. He walked him, went to a breaking ball and missed. Well, all 5 Toronto pitchers have walked at least one.
Number 30.
Buck's hair got a little gray.
Designated hitter.
This pitching performance today. 13 walks, but they're still in position to win the game.
Well, we'll see if they have Jose Offerman sacrificing here in the bottom of the 8th inning. If it's successful, leaves first base open. You probably lose Nomar, but then you got Ramirez and Clark behind him, and they do have a right-hander Escobar loosening in the bullpen.
I don't think that was a sign, do you?
No, I playing the trumpet maybe.
Yeah. Trombone. Offerman homered in the 1st, walked in the 4th. 1 for 4. Pinsky even with the bag at 3rd. Delgado charging from 1st, then retreating. Damon wasn't fooled. And this time he charges, and Offerman bunts it foul. Leaning out of the way, the pitch up and in.
Well, it's hard to believe you're in an 11-11 game. 25 hits, and you're down to a sacrifice to try to get a man in a scoring position here late in the ball game.
Red Sox have had 1 hit since the 4th. That was that bloop hit by Hillenbrand in the 7th inning, last inning. Hoffman takes the ball high. 1-1. Mike Cubbage through the signs. Hoffman pops it up, and Delgado catches it. Well, they loved Jose back in the 1st inning with a home run. Now here in the 8th, the boos come back.
Now that happens a lot. You get a guy that throws hard like Plesac, and if you bunt a ball that's up in the strike zone, a lot of times you will pop it up.
Well, was that a straight out bunt situation all the way, you think? I mean, you have a guy with good speed who can steal the base.
Well,
one of the reasons he said he had Offerman in the lineup, he's an action guy. He can do a lot with him.
The only other option would have been the hit and run. I don't think you're going to put the straight out steal with the lefty on the mound and Damon at first base. A little bit tougher to steal with that lefty out there.
Escobar will be the new pitcher. They're sixth of the ball game when we come back.
And try or go online and buy at burnfill.com and by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares. Opening day at Fenway Park in a wild one, 11-11 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Toronto Blue Jays going to their closer, Kelvin Escobar. Billy Koch traded, and Escobar taking over that role as closer for Buck Martinez. He did it once in the past. He had 14 saves back in his first year in '97, but since that time basically has been in the starting rotation. Certainly a power pitcher, throws hard. And some question marks whether he'll be able to get the job done this year as the closer, but he certainly has the ability to do it.
He'll be greeted by Nomar with one out and Johnny Damon at first base. Nomar 1 for 5, a double, and a run scored back in the third. 11-11 the score. Manny Ramirez on deck. Swing and a miss.
Chances a little bit better now for Johnny Damon at first base with the right-hander on the mound as you're thinking about the possibility of a steal.
Damon runs, they pitch out, the throw, got him.
Well, they pitched out, they guessed right, and that's really a gimme there because the hitter's down 0-1, so they've got a pitch to work with. And Damon, you can see they're increasing his lead, so they pitch out, and it's an easy throw out at second base. Not a real good pitch to run on, the 0-1 count.
Perhaps they were thinking the Blue Jays would think that.
Well, they were wrong. I think most managers would have pitched out there, especially with speed at first base in the 0-1 count.
One and two now on Nomar. Laid off the pitch, low and away.
Are those helicopters supposed to do that?
Hover?
Like, yeah, they're not even moving.
It's one of those news helicopters.
I don't think I'd like that feeling too much.
He struck him out. Ooh, a little page out of the Urbina manual with the histrionics after the strikeout. We go to the 9th, tied at 11. The home run that got the Red Sox back in the ball game. Controversy, terrific defensive plays. We've had a little bit of everything today. The only starter in the game was not reached base as Vernon Wells. Red Sox have hit 4 homers. All of them were relatively early in the game. And Toronto 9 for 20 with men in scoring position. They've left 11 men on base. Red Sox have stranded 13 men while going 4 for 11. Game summary brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Here's the 12th pitcher of the game. Each team has used 6 now, with the appearance of Triple U, Ugueth, Urbina.
9 saves for Urbina when coming over to the Red Sox in those 19 outings. Of course, coming in exchange for Tomo Oka back on July 31st. He had appeared in 45 games for the Expos before coming to the Red Sox.
Rich Garces pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning, the only 1-2-3 inning for a Red Sox pitcher today. A lot of the folks have left now. It has gotten much chillier here in the late afternoon, early evening. Driven down the right field line toward the pole. That is a foul ball. Eric Hinsky just missed his first major league homer, and putting the Blue Jays ahead here in the top of the ninth. He's already 2 for 3 today. Wow, is that close?
Up to 4 or 5 feet. That's all he missed his first home run by. And you can see the frustration on his face. He picked the right spot here in Fenway Park. Right down to a pesky pole.
His first homer was almost a 300-footer. Hinsky, Mondesi, Delgado due up against Urbina. And this is low. 1-1. Martinez, Oliver, Arojo, Fossum, Garces, and now Urbina. High. 2-1.
Urbina with the fastball, changeup.
Very high in the air and right. Nixon. 1 out.
Urbina's name kept being tossed around in trade possibilities during the offseason for the Red Sox. Red Sox
Number 43,
showing some interest in Jeff Shaw, who was with the LA Dodgers a year ago. Shaw ended up retiring.
I believe so.
Yeah, he wanted to hook on with Cincinnati. It never did happen.
Old Mondesi takes the ball low. He is single to knock in a run at a sacrifice fly for another RBI. 1 for 4. Venus from Venezuela, 28 years old. Old Mondesi with that one.
Slider there that he'll feature to the right-handed hitters. Basically fastball changeup to lefties. Fastball slider to right-handers.
Ball 2. Urbina, the first player in Major League history to have the initials UUU. His middle name is Ertang.
Nickname Oogie.
Yes. He has 2 brothers who have the same initials, UUU. Ball 3 low. He has a brother, Ulysses Utah Urbina, and another Ulmer Ulsis Urbina. Ulmer is a minor league pitcher. Now the 3-1 hauled off the end of the bat.
Red Sox guarding the line down at third base with Shea Hillenbrand. Tony Clark well off the line at first. Trying to prevent that extra base hit.
This is the 13th full count of the game. Payoff pitch. He walked him with 1 out.
Well, Mondesi creates some problems down there too, because he also has very good speed. Doesn't look like it the way he's built, but 30 steals for Mondesi a year ago. Only caught 11 times. And of course, big power at the plate now in Delgado.
The first baseman, Carlos Delgado.
Red Sox pitchers have walked 5 and they've hit 4 batters. There's Carlos Delgado. He's been hit twice, walked once. He has 2 hits, been on base all 5 times. An RBI and 2 runs scored for Delgado. 11 all in the 9th inning. Line to right, that'll drop for a hit. Mondesi to second. So Delgado's been on base 6 times. 3 hits, 2 hit batsmen, and a walk. Well, for a lot of Red Sox fans, Urbina is still a question mark too, Jerry, coming off the elbow problems 2 seasons ago.
Number 23.
They haven't seen a lot of him when he was healthy. He was a solid closer in the National League.
And he did a decent job too, also for the Red Sox.
Jose Cruz Jr. made a couple of terrific defensive plays. And has helped offensively as well. A couple of runs batted in, a double and a single. Each hit drove in 1 run. He has scored a run. He's also walked. He's been on base 3 times, 2 for 4. 14 hits now for the Blue Jays. Base hit. Runners take off and advance without a throw. Mondesi and Delgado catch the Red Sox napping. And now 2 men are in scoring position.
Well, that's going to happen against Urbina because you can see he's very deliberate and slow to home plate. There's that high leg kick, and all Mondesi did is took 1 look at it on the first pitch and realized that, well, if he's going to do that, I can just walk into third base. Now the question is, do the Red Sox intentionally walk Cruz to try to set up the double play? And it looks like that's what Grady Little's going to do. He's going to put Cruz at first base and try to get Fletcher with the double play. Fletcher last year hit into 18 double plays, and that's the 3rd most in the American League.
We're starting to say before the runners took off that the hit by Delgado was the first for Toronto since the 5th inning when Fletcher singled with 2 outs. A great chance for Toronto to reclaim the lead here in the 9th. Well, the bases loaded with 1 out.
Number 9, the catcher, Darren Fletcher.
Cubbage up on the top step of the dugout, positioning the defense. Darren Fletcher. Double to knock in 2 in the first. Cincinnati has struck out, dropped down a sacrifice bunt. He singled to center in the 5th and lined to right in the 7th. Middle of the infield back at double play depth. Hillenbrand 2 steps behind the bag at 3rd and well off the line. Clark even with the bag at first.
Ball hit hard to Hillenbrand. He can go for the deuce. If it's not a double play type ground ball, you have to come home.
Downfield straightaway for Fletcher, who hits it to straightaway center and well hit. Deep enough to score the run. Damon makes the catch. And the Blue Jays take the lead again in the 9th. 12-11 as Mondesi scored on a sacrifice fly.
Well, that time Fletcher, I'm sure, is aware of the fact that he hit into a lot of double plays a year ago. Not working against a sinker ball pitcher, more of a fly ball pitcher. Got a pitch he could handle and got it up in the air and certainly deep enough to get the run home.
Number 10, the center fielder.
First
Vernon
run scored in this
Wells.
game by either team since Toronto got 3 runs to tie it in the 5th. Red Sox haven't scored since the 4th. After scoring in each of the first 4 innings, they'll have to score in the 9th if they're going to emerge victorious on opening day. On the play, Delgado went to 3rd. 1st and 3rd for Vernon Wells, who has one perhaps last chance, at least this one more chance to reach base. The only player who has started in this game on either team who has not reached base. 0 for 5, hasn't had it out of the infield. Waves at the high fastball.
Now with 2 strikes, Sean, it's a possibility you may see the attempted double steal. deep as the infielders are, they may not even throw through.
And Cruz does take off, and it's fouled back.
Well, they did have Sanchez going to cover second base, so there's a possibility that Veritek would throw through there. A lot of times, 2 strikes, 2 outs, last-ditch effort to maybe get a run on a double steal. They see the man off at first base, but fouled off by Vernon Wells.
The 0-2. He struck him out. Another Bina gives up the tie by allowing 1 run. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Toronto 12 and Boston 11. Local New England Ford dealers or log on to newenglandford.com. By Dunkin' Donuts, nothing gets you going like the smooth, mellow taste of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. By your friendly New England Dodge dealers, grab life by the horns, go Dodge. By Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. And by your New England Toyota dealer. What makes Toyota the best value? Ask someone who drives one. Red Sox in this back and forth game find themselves trailing now 12-11. Toronto once led 7-1. The Red Sox had a 3-run lead at 11-8. But the Bostonians have not scored since the 4th inning. Manny Ramirez 4 walks and a strikeout today. He has scored twice. Tony Clark on deck, then Trod Nixon against Calvin Escobar. He would be the winning pitcher if he can protect this 1-run lead.
Talked about Escobar having good velocity. That would 95 miles an hour past Manning.
He now passed the 4-hour mark, 4 hours and 6 minutes. All the way to the right. Another 95-mile-per-hour offering from Escobar.
Yeah, Manny upset he missed that one too. That one right over the heart of the plate.
The next pitch thrown by Escobar will be pitch number 400 of this game. And skips by Fletcher. Chris Carpenter started for Toronto, lasted only 2 1/3 innings. Then Scott Air, Scott Cassidy, Felix Heradian, Dan Plesac, and now Calvin Escobar with a 1-2 pitch. Missed with a breaking ball. Escobar, another guy like Chris Carpenter, the starter, no question about a lot of ability. You wonder if they've yet gotten the most out of their ability. Escobar, 25 years old. He was ahead of Manny 0-2. Now it's a full count. The 3-2 to Ramirez. Fouled, and fortunate for Manny that Fletcher couldn't squeeze it.
That might have been a splitter there from Escobar. It stayed up in the zone, and looks like it deflected off the shoulder or the chest protector of Darren Fletcher. Something off speed.
Yeah, it was a hanging splitter, I think. And the second pitch of the at-bat Manny would like to have back. Another 3-2 pitch. Oh, he struck him out. 1 out in the 9th.
As I mentioned, Sean, this is not unusual territory for Escobar. Back in his first year, he did close some games for the Blue Jays, and of course moved into the starting rotation, back and forth with the bullpen. Big strikeout there to start out the 9th inning.
Now Tony Clark, who hit one of the 4 Red Sox home runs today, the only one with men on base, was a 3-run homer that took them from 8-3 down to 8-6. He also singled in the 4th. Hit a wicked line drive for an out to left. Hits that hard just past Delgado, who was guarding the line. Still looked like he could have gotten a glove on it, but did not. So Clark's aboard with his 3rd hit of his Red Sox debut. He's been on base 4 times. And Ricky Henderson will make his Red Sox debut to run for Tony Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. For the Red Sox, now running for Clark at first base, number 35, Ricky Henderson.
Tony Clark having the advantage here of Delgado playing close to the line, and as you mentioned, Sean, even with the dive, it looked like he was going to be able to make a play on that. Ricky Henderson making his Red Sox debut.
43-year-old. Pinch running for Clark. Here's Trot Nixon with the tying run at first. Trot could win it in dramatic fashion with one swing. He's already homered once today. Check swing, a ball high. Nixon at a solo homer to open the 2nd inning. He has walked twice, struck out and fly to center. 12-11 Toronto, bottom of the 9th. Henderson at first and 1 out. Ball 2. Escobar out of the stretch. Nixon pops it up. Room for Hinsky. The breeze blowing it back toward the line. Lopez alertly over there in foul ground. And the Red Sox are down to their final out. It'll be Shea Hillenbrand to bat.
Number 29, the 3rd baseman, Shea Hillenbrand.
Hillenbrand has singled twice and walked, driven in a run, and scored one. That's right. That's the likelihood that Henderson tries to steal.
You know, he's taken a fake jump a couple of times, and it's really pulled the second baseman out of position. You don't like to make that final out at second base on an attempted steal. I think Ricky was basically in there more for any ball in the gap where he could possibly score from first base.
With Daubach on the bench, we get all surprised they haven't hit for Hillenbrand. Breeze blowing out toward right, ball not carrying well to left.
Well, because of the way Grady's been talking during the spring, these guys are going to hit. We didn't see him hit for Sanchez earlier.
Hit hard to short, but knocked down by Lopez. He flips to Bush, and the Blue Jays win it 12-11. It took 4 hours and 12 minutes to complete a memorable season opener, the start of a new era of Red Sox baseball. For Toronto, 12 runs, 14 hits, no errors, and 13 men left on base. The Red Sox 11 runs, 13 hits, 2 errors, and Boston stranded 14 men. Calvin Escobar, the winning pitcher. Uguet Urbina took the loss. 33,520 the attendance. All of the homers in the game belong to the Red Sox. Solo homers by Offerman, Nixon, and Varitek, in a 3-run clout by Tony Clark. But Darren Fletcher's sacrifice fly provided the winning run for Buck Martinez and the Toronto Blue Jays. Once again, the final score: Toronto 12, Boston 11. This is the Fox 25 Red Sox Television Network.
Play of the game is brought to you by New England Ford dealers, and with the bases loaded in the 7th inning, Jose Cruz robbing Sanchez of a base hit and saving a couple of runs. For the best selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs on the planet, visit your local New England Ford dealer or log on to newenglandford.com.
We hope you'll join us again Friday night from Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore as the Red Sox play their first road game of the season. Red Sox and Orioles beginning at 7 o'clock. Derek Lowe and Josh Towers, the scheduled starters. Now for Jerry Remy, Sean McDonough saying so long from Fenway Park. This has been a presentation of Fox 25 Sports.